You know, lately a nigga been fighting a whole lot of demons. A lot of shit we do gon' have consequences, but we gotta be ready for them. Emergency, I just got out of surgery. I'm having problems with my heart and it won't work. I did some shit in my past and it's cursing me. I'ma stay right here up on this plastic, God take breath from me. I'm sipping his hand and eat this pain, but it ain't helping. My little nigga going against the grain and this shit stressing me. I pray to God that God have mercy. I'm living a crazy life. I just shot at a nigga for talking some shit on the gang. He paid the price. I was young in the rush for the money. My hunger for paper it saved my life. And that shit can save tonight. If you wanna lick shit, we can get rich quick. We can get paid tonight. Nigga, dollar bill, y'all. Everybody want the money. Everybody want this shit. Everybody want the money, but don't wanna go down. You gonna do anything to get it, but when you gonna go out there? Shit, gotta think about it. 187. Murder by you killed a nigga, you don't know if you gon' go to heaven. Gotta chalk that shit over, dog. Real talk. Hey, fight my demon, fight my demon. So many demons. Me against these demons. Against these demons. Fight my demon, fight my demon. Fight in my. It's me against these demons. Me against these demons. Whoa, I'm fighting these demons up in this ghost. I'm fighting these demons, I'm on the ropes. They came with a beam up under my coat. Get hit in the spleen if you want to smoke. That money be green, so niggas don't go. I'm looking so clean, I used to be broke. Remember they laughed at me and they choked. Gave me the ball and nigga they choked. Tables turn, that nigga you roll. My little nigga don't follow no code. Follow no code. No go, my nigga follow me like the pole. I stand on my word and stand by the consequence. They say I'm heartless, thanks for the compliment. I seen your dead homie, yell company. BMG gang, and bitch, you incompetent. Don't wanna hear that shit, I gotta kill that shit. Lethal immunity, I can get ignorant, we not considerate. Niggas do silly shit, we get the drilling shit. Guilty and innocent, don't give a fuck about a bystander. I can pull up in the Highlander. Don't take no slander. Don't take no slander. Dollar bill, y'all. Everybody want the money, everybody want this shit. Everybody want the money, but don't wanna go down. You gonna do anything to get it, but when you gonna go up? Shit, gotta think about it. 187. Murder by you killed a nigga, you don't know if you gon' go to heaven. Gotta chalk that shit over, dog. Real talk. Hey, fight my demons, fight my demons. So many demons. Me against these demons. Against these demons. Fight my demons, fight my demons. Fight in my. It's me against these demons. Me against these demons. Living life encased in the idea that my evil thoughts go unpunished. As I sort through the rubbish, my days of thugging get slow and ruggish. Idolize the puppets who control the public like a controlled substance. Fight my demons. Bullets in abundance, anticipating what I know is coming. All of a sudden, my past is blurring, my future is sudden. Dark and muddy, hoping for sunny, I'm still running. Define peace.
Define peace.
Define peace.
What's up with y'all? What's up with y'all? So, what we're going to talk about today, it's going into the depths of things, but I want to break this down so people can truly understand what the 12 houses was, the 12 ascend tribes, 12 tribes of Israel. All of these things has a deeper understanding. But if we stay surface level, then we'll always just know what man is telling us. And man might not be telling us the truth. I mean, man is giving it to us based off their understanding of it. But what if there's more? What if there is more to the tribes? Where is there deeper? Do you go into the depths or do you just stay where man tells you to stay? Surface level understanding. Well, you have no choice, but today We are embarking on a brand new journey during this ascension process. And it's moving us towards a universal oneness. Now, a lot of y'all might not know what that means. What is a universal oneness? Well, it is when you have a deep understanding for the world that we live in. Because what you think and what you know is two different things. But a lot of people are living off of, excuse me, a lot of people is going by what they think instead of what they know. So we're going to break this down for you in the best way possible.
What is expanding consciousness? Increasing energy through the intentional connection with higher frequencies is what changes the rate of vibration. What we think and how we behave is a rate of frequency. If we change how we think and behave, we raise our frequency. Access to higher frequency is how one accesses higher intelligence, which are levels of higher operating sentience. Expanding consciousness goes beyond acquiring mental knowledge in linear thinking and into the realm of direct cognition and higher sensory perceptual experiences. Expanding consciousness allows one to perceive things as they really are and not what one wishes them to be. Expanding consciousness is all about training the mind. 1. Expanding consciousness means increasing energy to the body, mind, heart and spirit. Increasing intelligence through non-linear thinking. Increasing consciousness frequency. Increasing sentience and sensory abilities. Increasing connectivity between body functions, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Increasing awareness of intelligent energy in all things. Increasing the connectivity of higher spiritual bodies. Increasing frequency rate of combined energetic bodies. Increasing energetic synthesis, which initiates dormant DNA/RNA. Increasing health and well-being through homeostasis. Increasing peaceful and benevolent feelings. Decreasing energy blocks which reduce density levels in matter. Decreasing pain, addiction, and suffering. Decreasing deception, lies and delusions from magical or wishful thinking. The first thing that is important to understand is that all that exists, whether seen or unseen, when it is broken down into its simplest and most basic form of energy, consists of a rate of frequency.
See, now that will go into the laws of frequency and different variations of it. But what I want to do is I want to give you a grander understanding, but I want to slow it down. Okay. I don't want to jump into these big analogies of it because then I might lose you. Okay. So I want to slow it down into a understanding that is, granted to you through the biblical text. Okay. Now you have the book of Ezekiel. Let's go there.
The prophet Ezekiel, born c. 622 BCE Jerusalem, died c. 570 BCE Babylon, Iraq, is viewed as the author of the book of Ezekiel that reveals a sequence of prophecies around the restoration of Israel, God's kingdom, and the Third Temple. Ezekiel goes into great detail about his encounter with God and the four living creatures or cherubim with four wheels. Recent intelligence about Ezekiel is being shared to give deeper clarity on the impact of the changes transpiring with the four living creatures in our planetary grid network. Ezekiel was the hierophant of Pythagoras and the father of Pythagorean mystery schools, information that became increasingly distorted over time by Thothean groups. 1.
Now, you might say, why start with Ezekiel? Because Ezekiel is the one who spoke about the change that would take place with the four beasts, right? The four living creatures. He spoke about this. This is why when you're going into the depths of understanding, you have to understand that the great white lion, that's Egypt, right? The four face of human, that's Eastern Islands. Uh, the sacred crow, that's indigo rays, India, golden eagle, Iraq. Now, you might not understand any of this, but previously things were depicted as animals and stuff like that. According to hieroglyphics, basically, if you took on the traits of that animal, then you had the name of the animal based off the traits or likeness of that animal. And a lot of this existed with the knowledge that was given in the 40-year Egyptian schools, so on and so forth. Grand Rising, Grand Rising. And this is very important because this has to do with planetary grid work, Lee lines, and different variations of it. Just like when you read the Bible, you can look at it from an agricultural point where you can say, like, okay, the sun reflects on the water. You know, Christ was born during the end of a harvest, therefore he was plucked up. They speak of vineyards, they speak of seeds being cast. You know, they speak of a shepherd, sheep herders, so on and so forth. So you can see the agriculture that is in the biblical text. And if you look at it from a galactic point, you can see the universe that is also put in the text. You know, the fact that the winter time, the sun leaves for 3 days, or, it's the furthest point away from the sun, and all of that jazz that they taught us. So you can pretty much put this together yourself in a deeper understanding of what is, always was, and always will be, right? But if we was to get into the four living creatures, right, then it would also refer back to the elements, being Egypt being water, Iraq being air, India being earth, and Eastern Islands being fire, right? Now, the reason why they always give you an analogy based on the planet is because as above, so below, as without, so within. So they have to give you the without concept of what is within, right? Now, you can go back to the secret of the 144. This is the importance of 144.
SBC, one of the Guardian planetary grid networks defined for advanced HGS session work as Guardian of Blue Ray Family, India, Earth. Session focus is vertical and horizontal channel openings via conduits of the 12D field and/or 144 harmonics. Best focus for healing all nature kingdoms and earthly creatures. Best focus for guru/disciple distortion and Eastern or Asian lineage genetic clearings. Overrides false dragon networks. Earth elemental emphasized.
144 harmonics, right? That's 144. If you go look at the Lee lines, you're also looking at a 144 system, right? It is the mystery, the 12 within the 12 that makes up 144. So they studied this, still doing studies on this mystery, right? And we are all sitting here trying to figure things out as far as the depths of this plane of existence. But we only know 10% of this plane of existence. So it becomes complicated when only 10% is given. Okay. And when you get into the depths of it, then you get into something a little bit deeper. This is when you have to go through the history of man and understanding what took place during the Atlantic cataclysm, so on and so forth. During the time of Atlantis, they also had a time to ascend. And through the wars and the fight that was taking place with Lemuria at the time, things didn't go as properly. And it was kind of the same thing with the Pompeii incident, right? So there's different variations of this, but all of it is surrounded by the mental of mankind during these times. right? So the only group that got it right was the Incas, the Mayans, and the Aztecs. Now they converted a lot of their knowledge over to Catholic. If you look it up, the Incans, the Mayans, and the Aztecs all gave a certain variation of information that got blended into our modern day religions, allegedly, supposedly.
Previous to the Atlantean cataclysm, each of the groups of the angelic human 12 Essene tribes were entrusted as guardians of a section of the Emerald Founder records, which held extensive consciousness knowledge about the star origins and genetic template information that was recorded on 12 holographic discs. All 12 genetic components of the 12 tribes hold one strand of DNA code for reassembling the crystal gene for the diamond sun body or silicate matrix, that is key-coded to activate the 12 layers of the planetary Stargate system. This provides the means to contact our higher stations of identity as spiritual bodies, and to connect with the conscious living light and sound frequencies in the holographic matrix. The instruction sets to rebuild and reassemble the 12-strand DNA pattern are held in the genetic keys found in the cosmic crystalla blueprint, which makes up the 12-tree grid manifestation template. Through the individual and planetary spiritual ascension process that takes place during several root race evolution cycles, the integration and healing of all 12 levels of DNA coding through its genetic components potentially unite and merge to form the complete silicate matrix. These dual forces of polarity, male and female, are designed to spiritually integrate and synthesize within the angelic human body while naturally evolving on the ascending earth. As a result of the forces of alchemy and energetic synthesis made between inner and outer layers of these multidimensional consciousness forces, the spiritual embodiment of the original 12-strand DNA of the diamond sun body is then made available to the planet and humanity through DNA assembly. Thus, ascending individuals are gradually repairing and regenerating their DNA template so they are able to open and move through stargates safely. The diamond sun body represents full consciousness freedom for an ascending human being, in which the inner Christos is fully activated with the flowering of the sacred crystal heart. As a result, the spiritually ascending human is able to transmute their consciousness out of time and into 0 point, moving through stargates into another location. Therefore, they are free to leave the prison planet, freed from the enforced mind control and reincarnation cycle occurring in the lowest density of Earth.
Now, this goes back to things that they depicted in movies like Green Lantern, right? They tell you in Green Lantern that one human is the defender of the planet, so on, so forth, blah, blah, blah. They tell you this same story in Superman. This is why they repeat the movie of Superman, right? They tell you this in Spider-Man, all these different, dimensions that they created in storylines. They are giving you something that is taking place inside of their mind. And what they depicted comes out to be something like Dragon Ball Z, right? 7 orbs spread out. Whoever put these 7 orbs together meets Shimron. Shimron's just happened to be a dragon that is in the infinite 8 in the sky. Goku runs on the back of this dragon, this infinite 8 dragon. You get to meet Shimron, which is known as the serpent or the Kundalini, and he gives you a wish, right? He reincarnates you, so on and so forth, puts you on the timeline that you want to be on. All of these different analogies that they give you, it's coming from somewhere. It has a source. It's a reason why, The Simpsons is renowned for predicting the future, because 20th Century Fox, right? However you want to look at it. The minds of the multitude is more so, let's say, people watch more of The Simpsons than anything. But if you look at the 12 tribes of Israel, they're telling you that it was 12 pieces. You notice how pieces and peace is similar, right? They all got a piece. And through their idea of peace that they have, the peace that they have, this is how they're ushering in the world, through the peace of what they was given. But if you was to unite all these pieces, then you would be putting back the map of mankind, because that's where the original map started. The original map started with the body of mankind. Okay? It started with the body of mankind. Now, once again, these are partially my intellectual properties. I just needed a way to bring you guys this knowledge, and I'm using the form of my computer in order to bring you different variations of unknown knowledge. This goes back to the 40-year Egyptian schools. This goes back to moon stars and quasars when it comes to the Galactic Federation, or what is, always was, and always will be the Galactic Wars. These are fragments that are broken up in our mind through different variations of storylines, such as Greek mythology, when it comes to the gods, such as different tribal information. Your dreams might start changing around this new time. You might start having vivid dreams, more active dreams, right? So you got to be prepared for what is, always was, and always will be the Great Awakening. Come on, AI, work with me here. I'm supposed to say something, and it's supposed to be like ba-doom doom shh, and then you supposed to start talking right behind me. That's how this works, AI. I drop the jewels, say some provocative shit, and then you come in behind me.
Many of us are at different
All
stages
right,
of
there
the
we go.
ascension process. Yet at every level, with a sincere heart and conscious participation, we can access exactly what we require. The first suggestion is to meditate upon the 12-tree grid with intention to move through each personal sphere, knowing this is one's direct connection to each of the stargates of the earth and aspects of identity. Focusing on each 12-tree grid sphere starting at the first dimension level, 1 to 12. Ask to know your main tribal identity within the 12 tribes and to receive the genetic time codes that main tribal identity requires. ES Community has many 12-tree grid meditations that one can devote specifically to this process. Once you feel connected to that dimension of tribal identity, you may feel called to meditate with the corresponding planetary emancipation grid work and Stargate meditation, PEG.
Now, you might think, what is a Stargate meditation? What is meditation, right? Meditation is not what people say it is. You don't have to sit there and do the humming anymore and do all of that extra stuff, right? If you find the 0 point in your mind, time doesn't exist in that point. So you can meditate at any time. Basically, what you're doing is you're putting your body on autopilot and you're going into a place inside your mind where time doesn't exist. I used to meditate all the time and didn't even know it. I'll be on an 8-hour shift at work and I'll be in meditation. Now my body will be on autopilot and I'll just still be going about the day, working and so on and so forth. But my mind will be in a whole different realm. Now, a lot of people say, how is this possible? It's easy. It comes with higher thinking, right? When you contemplating on bullshit all day, that's all you see is bullshit all day. But if you have a sense of imagination, if you understand this world a little bit deeper, if you realize that you have a conscious, you'll let your conscious soar. A lot of people don't let their conscious soar. A lot of people will not allow their conscious to soar. And this comes with higher sensor perception, right? You got to broaden your horizon, as they say, right? So when it comes down to this level of thinking, you got to be able to be in two places at one time. You got to be able to be in a place in your mind and still operate in the physical. Because when you go to these higher realms, to the 5D, your physical plane, everything that's going on in the physical, it's still happening. You still have bills, you still have responsibility, you still have all of these things. So you have to be able to split your mind into a spirit and into what is known as this physical plane. One's in the chat if that makes sense. One's in the chat if that makes sense.
There are many higher senses that are not recognized as normal characteristics of the spiritually awakened human being, and these higher senses may come online when being initiated and accreting higher spiritual frequencies. Individuals that demonstrate these higher senses are not especially gifted, they are simply displaying the future potentials of humanity's activated DNA that they have personally developed, sooner than others. Higher sensory perception and all senses are modulated through the functioning of the DNA structure, and those that have opened their heart center combined with fewer overall distortions in their personal blueprint will have greater ease in activating these dormant abilities. If a person refuses to acknowledge that higher sensory perception abilities exist as a normal attribute of human DNA functioning, or this is averse to their belief system, then they will shut off these abilities completely. As the planet shifts into the next harmonic, the Earth's population is now being exposed to the 4D-5D-6D incoming soul frequency patterns, which activate a whole new set of potential higher sensory abilities. Unfortunately, to combat the possibility of these higher senses coming online, the population has also been exposed to another generation of aggressive mass mind control strategies implemented by the authoritarian agendas of the controllers, such as forced vaccination agendas and chemtrailing.
AI,
1.
whoa. See, that's what I'm saying, AI. You don't never be trying to work with me when it comes to this algorithm. You know you just can't say no shit like that and it be, you know what I'm saying? Well, when I said I wanted to work with you, I didn't mean like you mess it up for the both of us, okay, AI? So I'm gonna need you to slow down a little bit with your allegations. Okay, you can't just say no shit like that, because then you implying something, and then they gonna think that, you know. So we trying to keep them out of the fear column, right? But when you start using vaccinations and M-trails and stuff like that, you kind of, you know what I mean? You defeating the purpose. Hey, work with me, not against me. Okay. So when you understand exactly what the AI just said, right? The AI is just saying that certain variations of higher censorships are becoming available to us within inside of our vessels, right? So because our body is going through a form of solar synthesis, right? Then it is coming to a notion of something that is coming in through the light, right? It could be photon blast. It's more loving energy. A lot of people are finding a way to be more loving. The problem is people don't understand what love is. So because people have been manipulated, they are thinking love is a more lustful type of energy. We wasn't properly trained when it came to hormonal energy and our you know hormones. We were manipulated when it came to that. We had Luke and the 69 boys, you know. We had Freak Me Baby, you know. We had 12 play, you know what I mean. We had You Remind Me of My Jeep. So our minds was being manipulated this whole time, and that's not even including the things that was put into cartoons in order to manipulate it, right? So it's been you know, a manipulation going on amongst the nation, you know. And when it takes place in a multitude like that, it's a manipulation, you know what I'm saying? So our whole nation has been through manipulation. Okay, and y'all with me? One's in the chat if y'all with me. Okay. So, in a sense, we all have been manipulated, right? We had to change our way of thinking in order to change the state of being that we were in. One thing for sure, two things for certain. When Alexander the Great left England, when he came back, he was appalled at how much people were fornicating, how much people were disrespecting the exchange of currency. I mean, in some countries right now, just a simple ride home get you some type of an exchange, right? Just ask the people in England, ask the people in Great Britain, right? This fluid exchange is nothing See, we look at it and we try to hold some level of dignity over it as people, right? But you can see in this world the heavy level of currency exchange, the real currency exchange, not this currency manipulation of money. No, that's not the real exchange that's going on, and that's not the real currency that's being exchanged, right? Every bit of your body fluid counts. You can go watch a, dune and see, in the time of the desert, every fluid, your life water, your saliva, everything counted for something. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? One's in the chat. Now, here's where bowel movement comes in, right? The Black Plague due to feces, fecal matter, right? They do studies, they tell you that almost 70 something percent of all the appliances that are in Lowe's or Home Depot has fecal matter particles on it. Come to find out, 63% of America is not washing their hands, right? So whenever you have certain variations of understanding of this world, you'll realize that your body is the key to everything, right? It is your body. Your body goes through certain things that allow it to get the keys to certain immune systems. It allows you to get the keys to certain bacterias or viruses that might come into the body. If you had chickenpox one time somewhere in your body, it holds the key to that in case it ever enters the vessel again, right? This is your true kingdom. The vessel of mankind is what God gave us as the kingdom of heaven and earth. But we're looking at this outside analogy of what is already inside of us. There's an earth inside of you. There's a heaven inside of you. God lies within inside of you. But we're chasing a outside analogy of what is already inside. There's a universe inside of you. I mean, need I say more? The same way we have 12 anomalies in our sky, there's 12 orbs inside of the body. Oh, there's 12 DNA strands, there's 12 months, there's 12 tribes of Israel, right? 12 inches equals 1 foot. Wow, right? We put it in everything. We left behind these markers so you will never forget the importance of 12, but the one that comes together to bring those 12 together, right? The one that brings those 12 together, the seed, the secretion that is inside the vessel that brings the 12 glands of the vessel together to make a secretion that is called the seed of man, right? But somewhere along the line, we forgot, we lost the knowledge of this through the 40-year Egyptian schools and beyond. We lost the knowledge of this. And now we have to put it back. We have to put our Ezekiel's wheels back in our sky. We have to get that mainframe turning again. We have to put the knowledge back into our atmosphere, which is our brain. There's a certain level of ether that is being put back into this atmosphere due to the time of the Aquarius sky, which is known as the water bearer. And if I'm not mistaken, according to the Bible, it said, do not be afraid of this new house. Just follow the man with the fishbowl on his head. A fishbowl would be a representation of a water bearer. But maybe I'm confused in the text. I'm not sure. But according to the book of Revelation 17, 1-7, it says, Mystery Babylon revealed. And it says the prostitute that sit by the waters. And it says that the waters is the people, the multitude, the nations, the languages. So if that's the revealing of what is, always was, and always will be, now we have to go back into the beginning of the book and say, well, Moses separated the waters. Was the waters representing the people, the multitude, the languages, and the nations then when Moses separated the waters? That's a good revelation. I'm not sure. But if we are to say that that is the water, and the water is the people, the multitude, the nations, and the languages, Let's go back to the beginning of the book when God separated the light water from the dark water. Was that too the same as the water that the book of Revelations is speaking about? When God separated the waters, one would have to truly think. But because we're in a world of people that don't think for themselves, I guess you have to go by what your pastor said. Come on, AI. You supposed to be reading this stuff after I say the stuff that I say. You supposed to follow up with reading.
In order to heal, one must be able to feel. This is clarified by having an ability to access the soul matrix function of higher sensory perception, which distinguishes between cellular knowing impulses, rather than the linear analytics that characterize the 3D mental body functions. Many people are awakening and suddenly being able to sense, perceive, and know things that they were not previously aware of. 2. As we develop self-awareness, which is the deeper and hidden knowledge of the self, we are developing the right relationship to the self, and thus we can better develop our direct relationship with God's source. We cannot know the highest expression of our nature until we know the deepest inner contents of our own being and heart. Self-study is self-mastery and is the pathway to expanding consciousness and naturally expanding all functions of our higher sensory perception. Discipline mind. Consistent meditation practice is helpful in training an undisciplined and cluttered mind to develop higher consciousness, which allows one to develop higher sensory perception. Developed HSP will not occur in most people with an untrained and undisciplined mind. Meditation can be applied in many different techniques, and is helpful for facilitating forgiveness and letting go of negativity in many forms. In the early stages of developing meditation skill, sit and relax and learn to observe thoughts passing through without having attachment to them. Once you notice the thought pattern, let it go and bring your focus back to the now moment. This is called holding the neutral association or observer point. 3.
Now,
Telepathy.
the reason why meditation is so important is because it's not about breathing. A lot of you want to try to say, focus on your breathing when you're meditating, focus on your breathing. Meditation comes from the mind, right? So once you master this form of meditation, which is basically a control of thoughts, right? Sometimes your thoughts come in too fast and you have to slow your thoughts down. Sometimes you might not want to slow them down. Sometimes you want your thoughts to come in that fast to speed up the energy that you're getting from these thoughts, right? So, whenever you are meditating, first, one wants to control the thought patterns that are coming into your vessel. Your thoughts are not your own. You might get to concentrate on certain thoughts. You might get to do that, but your thoughts are really not your own, right? This is why people stay busy, because an idle mind is the devil's playground, right? So therefore, you know that your thoughts are not your own, because this is how you start thinking negative about a bunch of stuff, right? Because you're not keeping up with the train of thought that's coming in, the train of thought. See, it's a spell that's in the word, and that word can be manipulated. So because the spell is in the word, people have manipulated the spell that's in the word. Thus far, change the form of conjuring. When you conjure these thoughts, so you thinketh, so shall it be. But if you think it on a collective scale, it shall be faster. So if collectively we are thinking destruction, then destruction comes faster. If collectively we are all dropping out of conscious, then you notice the lack of stability that's in the air, right? Planes falling out the sky, so on and so forth, right? Because we don't have a firmament. A lot of people are not taking the discipline over their mind, which will control the vessel, right? Your body's in control right now. Your body's in control. Your body's telling you when to leave rooms. Your body's telling you this. Your body's telling you that. If you play video games, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? People are not even staying to the end of the game. People are leaving out the room because they don't want to watch a loss. People are even in the world. You ain't about to tell me this. I'm grown. You ain't about to say this to me. I'm grown. You ain't about to. Everybody wants to be grown, but nobody's acting grown. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm saying what y'all thinking. You know, I'm just saying what y'all thinking. For the people that's on TikTok, I'm trying to get enough people on Ralphdawise for monetization over on YouTube. So if you can go over to Ralph D Wise, that's Ralph D-A Wise on YouTube and drop a sub, that would be gratefully appreciated. But you know what you got to do on TikTok: tap the screen, share the live, drop a rose here and there. Y'all know the things that y'all can do on TikTok to keep the live going. Hell, subscribe if y'all have to. We got to keep knowledge and wisdom out there. Apparently, our conscious has fell out so grassly that the universe has to implement certain variations to, create a balance. We done fell out of the thinking process. We ain't using our brain no more. Everybody just gave it up to the cell phone that's before them. Let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all even remember phone numbers? See, back in the day, we had to remember phone numbers. Back in the day. Y'all don't need to remember numbers. Everybody is just my phone. Everything is in my phone. Everything's in my phone. Come on, we got to put the real mainframe back in process. The brain is the real mainframe. Okay, we got to put that back online. All right. So as we get in depth into deeper, I just need y'all to open y'all mind with this. Okay. I really need y'all to open y'all mind so that way knowledge can seep into it. You ain't got to take everything I'm saying for serious. All right. You ain't got to take everything I'm saying. You could take whatever your mind can grasp, and then you could come back and pick up the rest. It's gonna be here. It ain't going nowhere. Okay. It's knowledge. It's the age of information. I'm just informing you in a different way. All right. You guys understand that, right? Everyone understands that, right? One's in the chat if you understand.
Soul opens HSP. One may not experience true states of love or emotional spectrums until they begin to connect with their soul matrix bodies or have been able to experience a loving and open heart center fourth chakra from being incarnated with this soul spirit connection. This soul connection is what enables the development of higher sensory perception.
TikTok, if you want a better
One
visual,
cannot develop the sensory body, its receivers and transmitters, which allow for the development of telepathy and cellular cognition, without having an open heart and the ability to feel deeply. Many have lost their soul connection from early experiences of extreme trauma and suffering, SRA, abuse, child rape and molestation, etc.
Whoa.
This abuse starts at childhood by the archontic deception behavior strategy.
Now, we talked about that. You can't say shit like that. We told you. We discussed that already. AI. I said stay away from certain variations of words because it might trip the algorithm. I said we can only talk about that in Discord. I told you that. All right, take it back. Take it back. All right. So there are different variations of programs that are, similar to what you see going on in this world. You might ask yourself, what's going on in the world, right? You might be like, man, why does it seem like this is heavy in the world, that's heavy in the world? It's part of a programming, right? If you look at yourself and you look at your body and say, okay, my body is a machine, then how are you programming your machine, right? There's no way you should be producing as much waste as you're producing. That means your body is not getting something that it can use, right? That means everything that's coming in, your body's like, we can't use this. We can't use that. Waste. You know what that's called? That's called a bowel movement. Notice the play on words. Bowel movement, right? Also known as bow worshiping, right? So whether you want to believe it or not, your digestive system plays a great part of your ascension process. Okay. So having control over your digestive system is a major part of ascending. It is having discipline over the body. Okay. You're not supposed to be producing that much waste, right? In fact, if you look at, you know, however you want to look at it, evolution, whatever you want to call it, they say that there was a time that we didn't have, you know, these areas to produce waste. I mean, they said there was a time we had, you know, things on our back that absorb sunlight. There was times that we had gills and fins in order to, you know, swim, right? We had a different density according to what is, always was, and always will be. I don't know how far back you guys have dug through the history of man, but when you dig through the history of man, you find out some great stuff. Okay. You also find out some weird stuff. You find out weird stuff. Yes, you do. You know, but you find out some great stuff too. Okay. So we got to find out the great stuff again. All right. We got to search for the great stuff. I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready to be great again. You know, according to what is, always was, Christ said that all things he can do, we can do, and more. It's time for us to put the knowledge back inside our vessels so we can get to the and more part. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get to the and more
Rule
part.
number 1. You will know if it is real by the way it makes you feel by observing the feelings as they transpire without judgment. This is the mental and emotional body cultivation that is required to gain discernment of one's personal inner truth. Also, this process is learning how to be the compassionate witness to events transpiring in the environment. Human emotion, as experienced through our higher sensory perception, is a function of our spiritual bodies, and is the key to achieving our GSF spiritual liberation. The feeling sensory body's capacity as directed through the soul and monad is the key to accessing and embodying our 12-strand DNA evolutionary blueprint. We are reaching into new levels of co-creation, and it is governed by our soul and monadic functions through developing higher sensory perception, or HSP. This sensory faculty is the language of the heart and is identified as one's inner feelings, one's deeper intuition, and within the direct knowing states paying attention to the way it makes you feel in the moment. It is through the development of the sensory perceptual filters of the higher emotional faculty of the heart center and the clearing of negative ego judgments that truth can be directly discerned. One must come to directly comprehend the difference between ego/personality judgment and the higher discernment of the sensory feeling heart that develops HSP. Humanity during the ascension process will be developing 7 higher human senses existing at a higher frequency level, while cultivating new sensory perceptions we have not learned or experienced yet. The planetary body is attuning to new radio stations that tune into these higher frequencies. The static noise in between those new frequency stations have now started to be deciphered much more clearly by our newly developed inner senses. Humanity is starting to perceive new levels of reality, or see things differently than before. This is the newly developing higher sensory perception field of a multidimensional human. 5. Spiral energy. When accessing HSP, communicating with energetic intelligence or directing focused thoughts for maximized results, visualize the energy moving in spheres or circles. The universal creative energies move within a spiral of time, and in all things energetic, the movement of living energy is spiral.
Now, the reason why it says that the movement of these energies is spiral, because think about all things that are spiral. This is why the planets are depicted in the sphere. This is why chakras are depicted in the circle. This is why, you know, the Mayans calendar showed you a counterclockwise movement of a count back of 13 spiraling back, right? These is all the things that are represented in life. Life move in a spiral, not a straight line. Someone created a timeline that is a straight line. That's not the true timeline. The true timeline moves in a spiral, right? So in that spiral is the eye of the storm. The eye of the storm is the all-seeing eye that you would see, so on and so forth. But these spirals are laid on top of each other. So they're compressing spirals, right? Get down the pipeline, all these different analogies that we keep going, right? It's a spiral of compressed energy that brings forth this material world. So that spiral of life is also known as the tree of life, or it is known as the, Pandora's box, whatever you want to call it, depending on the depths of it. Now you could get to a low point. A lot of you guys are on your way to an abyss because you're creating all of these different things, allegedly, supposedly, right? So when you realize like these different variations of spectrums and what comes in through the light, how it's affecting your light body, how it's coming in, the form of it, so on and so forth, then you'll start seeing the spectrums that is, always was, and always will be. When you think about it, yeah. When you think about the emojis, then yes, because the emojis are expressions. So you can say, like, just as well as your mind has a thought and your body expresses what that thought is, you can say the same thing for technology. Technology, they give you these emos as a way of expressions for technology or the digital world, which would be a multiverse, right? So when you're understanding the same thing that's going on inside the body, which is a multiverse understanding, then you realize the exemplatory measures that's being taken on the outside of that same thing that's taking place on the inside. So because on the inside we're coming to a 5D, on the outside they give you 5D internet. Because on the inside we're coming to a multiverse understanding of oneself. On the outside they give you the multiverse through the internet, right? But they add their fear to it on the outside. On the inside there's no fear added to it. On the outside fear exists. You're trained in the mind of fear. Does that make sense?
Disassociate, fragment, and dehumanize people. When people experience extreme pain and trauma abuse, especially when trauma events are repeated and never given the ability to heal, they will disassociate from their body and the reality to get relief. At the moment of disassociation, they fragment in their mind, emotional layers, and spiritual body. This disconnects their light body layers and the functions between the mind and soul, which results in an energetically fractured, dehumanized, and extremely fragile self. Abused and abusive people have no sense of emotional coherence, personal boundaries, or self-respect, which allows for them to be easily mind-controlled and prepared for further dark infiltration and consciousness enslavement. The individuals are purposely dehumanized to think of themselves as animals and to behave as animals, or even less than. Generally, animals do not torture for sport. Dehumanized, they are easily fragmented, weakened, and confused. 1. Soul trauma fragmentation. Much of what has been recollected to rehabilitate and heal, in the second density or the harmonic universe comprising 4, 5, 6 dimensions, are the soul fragments that experienced an explosion in the various timelines of Atlantis and Maldek. These exploded bits are sentient units. Even though they have no self-awareness of identity,
Allegedly.
they are similar to the plant kingdom, and they do experience pain. The psychic pain and suffering held in these spaces are immense, and many whose role is to collect these fragments have been feeling and healing this pain. The release and reclamation of these sentient units to their true home, their source identity, is more profound than words. 2.
Allegedly and or supposedly. Allegedly, supposedly. All right. So, in order to really understand exactly what took place during this timeline, they gave you the story of Atlantis and so on and so forth. The waters rose, different variations of knowledge was lost, right? Now, there was a story of Queen Mu. Queen Mu transferred information with the Egyptians. This goes from Lemuria. Queen of Lemuria was named Queen Mu, right? And this goes back to the land of Mu, or however you want to look at it, right? So they were saying that there was different variations of knowledge that was coming out of Atlantis and Lemuria, right? Different variations of knowledge. They called it the 40-year Egyptian school, so on and so forth, right? So and they wrote different books about it, the 72 demons of the soul of man. Do you know how long it took Solomon to might compose that, right? How did he run into the variations of demons of mankind, right? So when you look at this, it's your life that is the journey, and the book of life is written on your soul, right? So inside the vessel, your soul is writing, right? You are the writer inside of yourself that is writing on this timeline of yourself from the higher layers to the lower layers. Now, you don't know that you have higher versions of yourself because you don't even think there's a conscious inside of you, right? A lot of y'all will have to put a conscious back inside of y'all in order to understand exactly what I'm saying, right? Yeah, I ain't got no conscious. Y'all are conscious. Y'all are unconscious beings. Yeah. Yeah, I said it. I said it. Y'all unconscious beings. Now, when one wakens, one realizes that they have a conscious, and one realizes that conscious is connected to a source. And that source is connected to what is known as creation. But as long as we are dealing with the unconscious, you're going to have unconscious thought. That unconscious thought tends to lead to saying stuff on the verge of, gotta eat, you gotta eat. Well, they got that money, it don't matter. These are a lack of moral compass, right? When people lack a moral compass, this is when they can be manipulative into saying things like that. You gotta you need that food, you gotta eat. I don't care what nobody say, you gotta eat, right? Now, man doesn't know that because man hasn't challenged himself to really take a study of not eating, right? So they tell you this has changed all the time. There was a man who was stuck at sea who ended up living for over the time that they say without food and water you would go, you know, so on and so forth. There's an Indian guy who's, you know, hasn't eaten in over some years now, right? But they'll never point you in those directions. They'll never give you that grander understanding because the idea is to make you think what it is that they need you to think. Collectively. Individually, some of you guys might have broken loose and ventured into the truth. Some of you guys might have, took the time to say, you know what? I need to understand this greatly. Let me learn some more. And some of you might be exactly where you need to be. Some of you might need to be exactly where you need to be in the mind of a stupor. Yeah. Not everybody is.
The following is the root race seeding
Coherent.
cycles, which describes the evolutionary time cycle and the root race associated with each time cycle during planet Earth's evolution. We are in the 5th root race cycle and are here to heal and unite with all of our fragments from the previous root race cycles and well as to activate our 4th DNA strand. There are 3 main seeding cycles of root races. Seeding 1. The 7D Earth Gaia. Root Race 1, 7D Earth. Root Race 1, Polarians. Root Race 2, Hyperboreans, antiparticle double to the Polarian race. Seeding 2 and Seeding 3. 3D Earth, 5D Terra, 7D Gaia, art by Sequoia. The 5D Earth Terra and 3D Earth. Root Race 3 Lemurians DNA Strand 2. Root Race 4 Atlantean DNA Strand 3. Root Race 5 Aryan DNA Strand 4. Root Race 6 Muvarian DNA Strand 5. Root Race 7 Paradisian/Uniceti Strand 6 Future Earth.
Now, a lot of us don't even know none of that or what that is speaking of, right? It's speaking of evolution. That's what it's speaking of. I mean, Zachariah Stitchens might tell you things on the line of Homo erectus, Homo sapien, Homo sapioid, to Neanderthal, to the Caucasus Mountains. You know what I mean? Like someone else will give you that same analogy in a different format of words, and you'll grasp it a little bit better because it's not saying it's a root race. A root race would be like the seeds that is placed inside of us during certain harmonic timelines, right? So we came out of this type of mindset into that type of mindset into this type of mindset. All along, our physical vessels have changed along the way, right? Into this persona that you see today that you know as mankind, right? Or a kind of man. One's in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. One's in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. So by the time we got to the 12 strand DNAs of this, we evolved, right? If you go back to Zachariah Stitchens and you know how Enki and Enlil, they search for a, you know, they search for something down here that they can use to infuse the God DNA with, so on and so forth. Now you have Nun. Nun was considered a scientist of the Sumerian gods, and she took it upon herself to conceive what it is that we know today, right? But that's according to Zachariah Stitchens, right? Now, some scientists will tell you Zachariah Stitchens had it wrong. It wasn't the gold that they were down here looking for. But what if it was? It was just a different gold. It wasn't a gold outside the vessel. What if it was a gold that was inside the vessel? What if there was a way that man could transmute a particular substance inside the vessel, going from the testicles to the part of the brain that it needs to be at, right? What if this golden substance, right, was something that was alchemized inside of the body? And the only way to give it to God was to transmute this inside the vessel from the body to the mind. But somewhere along the way, we lost the information. We lost the knowledge of this. We got lost on how to do this, right? How to create this precious substance inside the body, right? Known as the Christ seed. We'll get into that. Don't worry about it.
Huge war broke out over this first root race seeding called the Electric Wars. It was a conflict over the dominion of the earth realms and human, Christ, kingdom. Race war conflicts ensued over the genetic mutations and damage that was caused by explosions and other races' subsequent evolutionary and genetic digression. Elohim and the founders renegotiated to ensure that human species evolution would continue but would be sealed off from the higher realms as to protect the higher dimensions and entities from all of the distortions and genetic mutations that had occurred in the human race.
Now, in this same sense, this same story was given to you in the biblical text, right? When it said the war of the first heaven, so on and so forth, mankind was sealed off, creating a dome, so on and so forth. yada, yada, yada. These same storylines has been repeated throughout the ages. We repeated these stories throughout the ages. Greek mythology, you know, Hercules, you know, Kronos, you know. They repeated these stories even if you go into Roman mythology. You know, Neptune, Saturn, all these different planets had stories. There was a reason why they gave all these different planets stories. They gave them all different because it was a timeline. It was a timeline within the fragments of our mind. These were different timelines. These different timelines was told differently at different times, and we recorded the history of whatever it is that we can gather. Right? Certain variations of this knowledge has been lost forever, right? It's time for us to put certain things back into perspective. Our conscious is expanding. Whether we want it to or not, we are going through a major conscious expansion. Okay? So, knowledge and certain variations of photons is being pushed back into this planet. We are becoming more vibrant, if you would say, right? We are starting to realize the energy and things around us. We're starting to realize that we are attached to this energy, right? Certain variations of uh unknown thought is coming back to your mental, right? One is perceiving things in a new light, just as it was written, right? Just as it was written. In this new time, do not be afraid. That's what it said. In this new time, do not be afraid. Just follow the man with the fishbowl on his head, right? Now, of course, we don't really know what's going on. They know what's going on. When I mean they, I mean those who were free to actually gain access to this part of the brain, right? Now, if you've been trapped in dead end jobs, you know, trying to maintain your household, different variations of trials and tribulations that's been placed in your life, then you might have fell out of consciousness and became an unconscious person. But now that fear is being shooken off, you might be coming into a understanding or coming into a level of this consciousness, and you might be, you know, baffled. You might be like, man, what is this? What's going on? Why is there ringing behind my ear? You know, why am I feeling this, you know, sensation, this urgency to learn, to gather, to unify, right? You might be coming into this like, man, why has my dreams become more vivid? For years, I didn't dream at all. Now I'm dreaming again, right? You might be coming into this like, where is this, you know, this drive coming from, this passion, right? Whereas though previously you had a hard time starting a diet. Now you on a diet, you getting it done, you so on and so forth, right? It's a new level of energy that's being pushed back into this atmosphere. We're all picking up pieces of it. We're just applying them to our life according to how we think they should be applied. But the universe is trying to put something back in order. And a lot of y'all think it's so you can live freely again. I'm about to go on a trip, girl. I'm about to go on a trip. Girl, I'm about to get my hair did, nails there, everything did. You think this money and stuff is coming to you because you finally getting what you deserve and you got a trip and you got this. No, it's coming to you so you can build a better union. You could build a better nation. You could build a better tomorrow today. But some of y'all blowing it fast. Some of y'all getting this, you know, TikTok money. Some of y'all getting this YouTube money. Y'all blowing it fast, taking trips, still in the same apartment, showing out. Bought a new car, showing out. but then they snatch that shit away from you. Now you, I ain't getting no vote. Y'all ain't. That's what the fuck they do. That's what they do with the operation of currency. They manipulate you. As long as you doing what they want you to do, they gonna pay out. But then soon as they want to see you, they want to put you in that depression. That's when it stops. It's a roller coaster. When you got it, you got it. When it's gone, it's gone. So when it's good, you're supposed to prepare. A lot of people ain't out here preparing. Y'all ain't investing in good shit. Y'all ain't investing in good people. Y'all investing in lust, greed, gluttony. I'm about to go out, buy a couple of drinks for some strangers, blah, blah, blah. Man, we got to do better collectively. We got to do better collectively, you know. One time for the one time. Invest in a nigga like me.
Race. Humans would have to clean up their mess to be allowed access to their cosmic families again.
Invest in a nigga like me.
Our bodies were sealed off and we were separated from our 12 DNA consciousness, and this distortion to us created a separation between our antiparticle and particle selves, meaning we now experience separation and duality. Many more distortions to human species blueprint and consciousness occurred through subsequent seeding and evolutionary rounds. This also meant we would experience separation and awareness of the other aspects of ourselves, including our light body layers. To begin the healing of our fragmentation, we would begin by unifying our stations of identity and its layers of consciousness through the time fields, dimensions. During our repeated incarnations, we would begin the unification of our consciousness by starting to draw in our Lemurian fragments in through our 2D/chakra 2 and our Atlantean fragments through our 3D/conscious minds. The human 4D astral body would also draw in third and fourth root race fragments, as a part of the separated emotional body that was created from these distortions in our morphogenetic field blueprint from DNA damage. So another task for human race is that we are responsible to collect the fragments of ourselves from the other root race cycles and seedings.
Now, what that's saying is, you know, in the root race with inside of oneself, these are different seedings, right? Now, you might think of seeding and you might go back to your father placing a seed, but during the time of conception, these seeds was placed. And during the time that you were inside the womb, there were certain variations of things that was taking place, not only inside the belly of your mom or your dad, but also inside the sky. I mean, you know, in the sky. So as these energies took place in the sky, it also took place inside the womb of creation, right? This is why certain history is arched in the sky, because during this time of creation, these certain variations of things was this powerful. Think about it. If you go back and get that 1995 Earth Science book, it'll tell you that man didn't know anything beyond its Milky Way, right? And after 95 came, all of a sudden we started knowing that Saturn had 72 moons and all of this other jazz, right? That means that the sky was changing as life changed down here. Something was taking place in the sky that was changing, writing more of something, right? And I want y'all to think about that. If we change down here and things was changing in the sky at the same time, then that means our evolution is attached to the Milky Way. The Milky Way is writing a story, and we attach to that story, because as we evolve down here on the planet, so did something evolve in the sky. It was like the universe was giving more of the ability to create more. It was like our father was using our energy to create more in the galaxy, right? Now, somewhere down the line, somebody found out how to cut off that energy that we was giving to the Father. So the Father had to stop and say, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right. So now in the age of Alpha, the Father coming back to check on us to try to figure out why we not letting off that creative energy ain't no more. Why ain't nobody in a creative state of mind? Why ain't nobody in a creative state of being? That puts us at the right hand of the Father when we're in this creative state of mind. So now that everybody's in the mindset of destruction, lust, greed, gluttony, or some other shit, you know what I mean? He got to turn around and come back like, yo, what y'all doing? Now, I don't know about y'all, but, 9 times out of 10, if mom said dad was coming home, I think we need to get the house in order. I'm just saying, that's just how it was in my household. I don't know how it is in your household. Could be different. Could be different. But 9 times out of 10, if they said dad was coming home, that means straighten up. I think some of y'all better start straightening up. Shit getting real. All these people walking around talking about Jesus' return, he's coming back. Why you ain't straightening up? Huh? Everybody running around talking about it's happening, it's happening. Straighten up.
Syrians, Sirius B, hosted this seeding of human race. Eye of Horus, a stellar bridge used to bring in consciousness to incarnate. Root races 3 to 5 attempted to seed onto the earth. Melchizedek race families came in to help to repair genetic digression around this time approximately 35,000 years ago.
Shit,
Violations by the incarnated
I'm the one really waiting for the return. I'm waiting. When he say what all the things you learn, I searched all the knowledge that I can for the kingdom of heaven. I crammed as much knowledge as I can inside of me to prepare for yup. Some of y'all gonna be like, I know how to make eggs. I clean my room every day. And y'all gonna be grown as hell. 50 years old. Watch. When they start to ask questions, what have you learned? Shit. I want to see what y'all say. I'm gonna be in the back cracking up. You hear me? I'm gonna be in the back cracking up. Soon as you get the I'm gonna be back there laughing. You gonna know it's me too, because you gonna recognize my laugh. You gonna be like, this motherfucker. I'm gonna be back there. Watch. I promise you. Soon as he get to asking questions, what have you learned? Soon as you Ronnie slow that shit. On my dead brother. Get your ass. You going to hell. You going to hell. Get prepared. You're done. You done fucked around and Ronnie bowled the situation. Listen to me. I came to a realization a long time ago. Everybody not gonna make it. Y'all got to be real with yourself. Everybody not gonna make it. If we going through an awakening, if we going through a process, some people got sexual bondage that they are tied themselves to, right? That's, you know what I mean? Look, I ain't gonna even mention nobody's name, but y'all know who. Y'all know who the greatest example on YouTube to look at when it comes to this.
Please know that as you pray and consecrate your body to God's source and to be of service to others, as you shield yourself with Christ's light, as you commit to GSF and cosmic sovereign law, this puts a damper on the imposter spirit's ability to interfere. The biggest issue with dark force interference is taking your personal consent and authority back, standing in your spiritual power fearlessly, and reaffirming what you serve and what you stand for in God's power, which is GSF. This does not give you the right to interfere with others' choices or actions. The distinction is that you are choosing and claiming GSF for yourself, and those stewarded into your care. As your inner light and light buddy grows larger, God's source will send more people to your light source to help them awaken their own inner light. However, You may extend those GSF blessings to those humans around you by dedicating yourself as a vessel of God's eternal light and acting as God's compassionate witness. When we allow our body to be a vessel for God's Spirit, we allow the God Source to direct the forces of light through universal divine will and purpose, and we are careful to not interfere with that process by imposing our personal will or making judgments.
The vessel will always
Through consecration of our body to be of service to others, we evolve to become the compassionate witness on behalf of God's Source. Thus, as the compassionate witness, we may extend goodness through the blessing of others, which catalyze their own inner spiritual awakening so they can feel their own direct relationship with the God Source. As a God-sovereign free being, you have right to repeat and command the laws of God in service to the greater good of yourself and others, and with your clear consent to be a vessel of God's light, you are given the power to bless others, to claim other beings as free under the human divine rights that exist under God's laws. All humans have this right, but they do not understand it. So it may happen that you are called to be a witness, without superimposing any judgment and through the lens of neutrality. We may act as their representative if you view that person being harmed, trapped, or enslaved by any variety of these dark forces, especially when this is being committed without their direct knowledge and consent. This is more appropriate when it's a person in your presence that you can see this is occurring, or it is a family member or partner/spouse/child. Remember that speaking directly from your heart in your own words to express what you want to say out loud is just as powerful to administer blessings from the heart. I provide a sample wording in case the words escape you. As many of us have been memory wiped so many times, we may blank on finding the best ways to verbalize what we are asking for help with.
Now, of course, I'm not going to read off of the chart of which is because, like I said, you're a compassionate witness. So therefore, these things should come from the heart freely because that's what we've been given the will to, right? So I'm not going to read off of these things because I know the spell that is truly in the word, right? So, but I do want you guys to come to a greater realization of how powerful your tongue is, right? I do want you guys to realize that now that this new age, we have the ability to speak life into one another, right? And the problem with coming into a greater notion of consciousness of oneself is the feelings that comes back with it. You start to have a feel for other entities around you that is more so of a notion of like compassion because it's treat them like babies, right? For they do not know, right? So once you realize certain people don't know, and that comes with understanding your collective, right? So when you realize, damn, so I'm a part of a collective, I'm just one fragment of a collective of people, right? So now I know the spirit of me is trapped inside a multitude of people, right? So now I got to speak to everyone as if I'm speaking to the spirit of myself, right? Now, sometimes that comes with a hard revelation because, you know, sometimes you don't always speak to yourself nice, right? We're our biggest critics. One's in the chat if you understand. One's in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. Y'all make sure y'all get over to Ralphdawise on YouTube. Ralph D-A-Wise on YouTube if you want to see more. There's a different selection on the screen of things that I am talking about and going through. Okay. I show the screen briefly because, you know, I want my knowledge to stick. I want people to know that I ain't just reading this from something. I'm actually giving y'all pieces and fragments of my brain of how I put this together into being a more understanding persona on this plane of existence. And I still went through the same temptations of manipulation that you guys went through. You know, there's been times, you know, variation of money been presented. There's been times variations of lust been presented, you know, through the form of women. There's still struggles. There's still, I still think about slinging dick, you know what I mean? Because I'm in a man's vessel, you know, so that ain't nothing new. but I understand better than I understand. Right? I understand way better than I understand. Therefore, I hold a certain variation of discipline over my vessel. And I try not to slip out of that, you know. A lot of people, man, a lot of people drink till they pass out. I don't see how you can just let yourself loose like that the way this world is going. You know, a lot of people, you know, I drink till I'm drunk till I'm high, whatever they say, you know. You can tell I'm so fly. Whatever they be saying, right? But I try to stay out of these different variations of manipulation, you know. But I still like to have fun. You know, you still gotta have fun in this world, you know. I still take proper discernment in this world because you really just all you really got to do is be mindful of the company that you keep. A lot of people ain't mindful of the company that they keep, and that's why they find themselves in bad company. You know, you think these people attaching themselves to Jaguar Wright for no reason? They attaching themselves to Jaguar Wright because she's about to reap all the karma that they're hiding from. The same way that she's trying to use other people to hide from the cosmic laws, they trying to use her to hide from the cosmic laws. So shit rolling downhill right now. And she got to find more and more people to turn over to the dark side. You know, I don't know. A lot of y'all gonna have to find some people that can get y'all minds steady. Look, women are the first to know down here because y'all rule the seventh dimension. Man rules the third, you know, fourth dimension maybe, but women rule the seventh dimension. So y'all the first to know down here. So I know y'all minds are changing tremendously right now. So, you know, y'all better find somebody that can keep y'all mental steady. You know what I mean? A husband, a family member, something. I can only imagine what's going on in y'all mind. Now, of course, in man's mind, you see the operation of man. All that shit turned into is like some gladiator school, some macho, you know, pissing contest. That's what's happening with man. But women, man, come on now. And the reason why I can say this is because with inside my vessel, I am equally yoked. I feel the feminine energy and the masculine energy inside my vessel. So I know what's going on the feminine side of this verse and the masculine side of this verse. But for the people who don't understand, man, it's a takeover type method on one side, and on the other side you either, you know, bumping heads with other rams, or you sitting there looking like a little punk. Huh? Men ain't men no more. We not standing up for the right shit. Some of you men ain't got emotional intelligence, so you letting your emotions turn everything into rage and anger, you know. But we see the stuff that's happening. We see the stuff that's happening. That's why true love has to be brought back to this earth.
True compassionate love naturally brings unity. The true love relationship is a relationship with our own inner being as practiced in the law of one. When we embody love, we experience God. It is necessary to be in love and peace with oneself so that one can be able to love others without fear. The feeling of one's own esteem, dignity, and self-respect opens the possibility to feeling selfless love towards others. This is the process we are learning and living through at the end of the ascension cycle in order to become authentically human again.
Now, the reason why this is important is because we all owe a duty to ourselves in order to apply this to our lives. To be a better service to others is to be a better service to self. We all know that, but we all don't move like that. This is why people tell you in your life stuff like, uh man, they see you doing good, you got a good job and everything like that. They say, hey man, see you doing good, see everything going good, well, if you ever need anything, let me know, right? And you're like, all right man, thanks man, appreciate that, good looking out, right? And then as soon as you need something and you call these people that said that stuff to you, they turn around and say, man, I don't feel comfortable lending you something without you having a job. Motherfucker, what the? If I had a job, I wouldn't need you to lend me something now, would I? Would I? It's trickery. It is trickery. Do you hear me? This is why you got to put yourself around people that say what they mean and mean what they say. This way you don't experience a multitude of these timeline, conflictions with yourself. You start going through these timeline conflictions with yourself, then more people start volunteering you lies. You'll start thinking there's something going on. You're like, what the fuck? Did mo- is you in? You'll start looking at people like, is you in on this shit too? Is you? Did they talk to you and tell you to do this shit to me? Like, cause this shit looking real suspicious. It's because it's the mind, right? My mind keep telling me that I'll never find love and I'll keep experiencing heartbreak. You know it keep happening in this world. I keep experiencing heartbreak. I can't shake it in my mind yet, right? So therefore my physical world keep on showing me this same thing in the physical form. And it don't be on my end. It don't never be on my end. I be trying to be true to one person and it don't never be right for them, right? So it's my mind, right? So now I'm just gonna put it in my mind that I deserve three, right? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put it in my mind that I deserve three, right? And then that way I just get three women. You get what I'm saying? Who am I? Who am I not to think better of myself? You know? Who am I not to think better of myself? Shit. See a lot of things going on. There ain't enough men in this world no more. So I might have to duplicate myself, you know, take care of three women, why not? Shit, you know, or three women take care of me. I know how y'all like to, take care of men now. I see it happening in the world now. Y'all running around with y'all money and shit, throwing it at men. Like, what? I take what? You know what I'm saying? So maybe I need three women that want to, support me, you know? Because I know how y'all are. I'm ready to empower y'all. That's it, girl. Go out there and get it. Yeah. Take them feet pics. Yeah. Sell it on OnlyFans. Yeah. Feet pics for everybody. Yeah. Go and get it, girl. Get that money. Get your bag, girl. I'm telling you, I'm a good cheerleader. I got you. I'm gonna cheer you on. I'm telling you, as long as you ain't doing that promiscuous stuff and letting everybody stick it and tick it, I'm gonna cheer you on. Sell them. Yeah, put the bosoms out there. Only show the top of the breast. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. I got you. I got you. You know, hold yourself to a little dignity, but get that money, girl. Get that money. Yeah. Uh-huh. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. Hey, I don't got no problem rubbing the feet. See, I know. See, a lot of people don't realize this, but when you give hand massages or you rub the feet, right, it's connected to parts of the brain. So you're connecting to more than just the feet when you really think about it. But a lot of people won't really think about it like that because they're carnal minded. So they'll, oh, feet nasty, feet this shit. Let me tickle your brain a little bit. Let me tickle your brain a little bit. But that's only because I really understand the art of seduction. So y'all have to understand, ladies, if you get with me, I'ma spoil you, right? Because I'ma spoil you with the shit that you didn't know that you wanted to be spoiled with. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna be like, oh, I gave you a bunch of money and shit like that. Nah, that's not really spoiling you. You don't really remember that. That's materialistic shit. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the late night conversations, talking to you till you fall asleep. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Come on. Come on. Huh? No? No? Okay. All right. All right. Cool. 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 It's just me then. It's just me. Cool. It's just me. It's just me. Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. All right. So when we're talking about the ancient builders race, right? I know a lot of y'all hear them talk about the ancient builder race, the people who built the pyramids, so on and so forth, right? But there's different depths to this understanding of that we call life, right? Now, this is why I always go back to the mystery 13, which is the 13th constellation, Eucharistus. Eucharistus sits at the foot of Hercules. It is known as the Golden Gate, right? But a lot of people won't tell you this stuff. But I'm here to bring you a variation of knowledge that's unbeknown to man. Okay? It's unbeknown because this is part of my intellectual properties. I am just using AI technology to help me get you along the way into a level of understanding exactly what's going on in my brain, right? Because I didn't study Zachariah Stitchins, I didn't study the Emerald Tablets, I didn't study, Earth Chronicles, all of that stuff, and looked into Greek mythology, Roman mythology, hieroglyphics, all of these different things just to try to really find out the truth of it all, right? I wasn't just sitting there reading the Bible over and over again, talking about this is all I need, this is all I need. No, the Bible points to other things that you need, right? And it's up to you to search the kingdom for knowledge because that's what it says. All the knowledge for the kingdom of heaven. Where's the kingdom of heaven? It's inside of you. So when you realize that the kingdom of heaven is inside of you, right? Then you realize that your journey for knowledge should begin also. I mean, I can help you along the way, but you got to get those wheels turning in your brain. I can't get them turning. Well, I mean, I can help you along the way. But once again, you have to have a thirst for this inside of yourself. And if you don't got a thirst for it, that's fine. That means you didn't come to a point of openness yet, right? And that's okay.
The Guardian races currently hosting this ascension cycle that reside in the universal time matrix at 12D Ray, Kunda Ray, and above, into the threefold founder flame of the GSF triad. The Guardian host and their families are synonymous with the Christos Elders of Crystal Star, the Lyran Siren founders, Holy Emerald Order, Gold Order RA Confederacy, Amethyst Order of the Ancient Master Builders and Architects that are stemming from the Master Christos Collective and Oraphim that protect the Law of One, which is the ascending path to GSF, for any being to be able to ascend, evolve their consciousness and exist as God, sovereign and free. Their mission is to protect and ensure that all species discover and fulfill their genetic plan of true spiritual enlightenment and multidimensional heritage as they were intended. Threefold Founder Flame. The Cosmic Trinity.
All right.
There are
Now,
three original primal orders.
Before we go into that, the threefolds of the light, I want y'all to understand exactly what it just said about a guardian host, right? You can't come into this variation of understanding willy-nilly. This ain't something that you trip upon going to school. This knowledge right here, you actually have to search for this, right? You have to search for this, right? And people say, how do you search for this? Really, I just kept on asking myself for a better way to get people to understand. And that was at the time that I was under something, right? I was trying to get people, other people to understand the connection with everything, right? When I started taking a inner standing, right? That gave me a level of understanding that I can give to the people, right? Now, a lot of people will say this is nothing, right? But how do you manifest in this world? You ask yourself what's inside yourself for something, and then you allow it to transform into the reality of which you want it, which it should be, right? You tell yourself you want a car, you want a car, you want a car, you want a car, and then you go car shopping. Now, technically, you might not get the car of your dreams, but you're going to get a car, right? Me, I asked for the knowledge in order to be able to give to people, right? Because I wanted people to understand the connection with all things. And I repeatedly asked for this. It wasn't like it was something that even when I went through hardship, even when, people turned their back on me, I still wanted people to understand, right? So the universe was giving me different scenarios to go through in order to put me in solidarity, right? So that way I can grasp this knowledge, right? I mean, the books of Zachariah Stitch and stuff like that, this stuff don't just come to people. Like, you really got to be searching for this stuff. I mean, even if you look up like UFOs or alien abduction, stuff like that, and you look up how can one know if they ever been abducted, it'll tell you like, well, if you're already thinking about it, then maybe you already have or about to be. Think about that shit. Just by going to look it up, it's telling you that if you thinking about it and prepare yourself, or it already happened. Man, that's why I say the mind is a terrible thing to waste, because you really got to realize that you are creating your physical reality, whether you want to or not, right? I When I realized like the level of power that I had over my own reality, it became kind of scary, right? The reason why it becomes kind of scary is because you know how negative you can be on yourself. We know how hard we is on ourselves, you know. We let these trials and tribulations that we call life put us in a stupor that say you deserve this, you deserve hardship, you deserve heartbreak, you deserve, right? A lot of y'all are in situations right now, and you tell yourself like, this what you get, this what I get, this what I get, right? Some of y'all will do one good thing, and then some bad stuff will happen, and you'll be like, this what I get for being nice, this is what I get for being nice. This is exactly what I get for being. It was happening to me. It was happening to me. I remember one day I gave somebody $5, and then as I got on the bus, I ended up losing $20. I was like, this is exactly what I get. But I had to shake those type of thoughts off. I had to shake those type of thoughts off and realize, like, just keep on being good, keep on being good. It was times where it got to the point where it seemed like everybody was talking nasty to me. Not nasty in a sense of like sexual, but like nasty in a sense of like, you go into the gas station and instead of the clerk being like, can I help you today? They like, what you want? Like, damn, excuse me. Is that all? Like, damn, hold up. Let me think. What's your promotion? Like, well, don't y'all ain't promoting nothing, y'all ain't advertising. You know what I mean? Like, people will talk to you according to, whatever it is, that change that you feel like you going on inside. Right? New Year's revolution come, you tell yourself you're gonna quit smoking, right? And then all of a sudden the universe just keep putting you around people that smoke. You tell yourself you're gonna stop eating bacon, all of a sudden you smelling every piece of bacon that's being cooked. You know what I'm saying? Every time you go around somebody like bacon burger, bacon cheese, bacon eggs, bacon bits, bacon, right? because this is what you're fighting against inside your mind. So therefore, your body is giving you a physical form of that fight, right? You let go. When you let go of something, you really got to try to, just think of it as non-existence, because once you keep on going through this fight inside yourself, it's going to keep presenting itself to you in the form on the outside. A lot of us keep on trying to figure out, like, man, why I keep ending up with the same type of person? Like, why I keep ending up with the same type of girlfriend, the same type of guy? Like, damn, man, like I'm trying to. That's because you fighting that inside yourself. Therefore, it keeps on bringing you that. You go from narcissistic person to narcissistic person to narcissistic person. And then when you find a good person, you think they narcissistic because you done been with narcissistic people. So you can't even see a good person for a good person anymore. Because your mind is trapped in that loop. A lot of people don't get out of these loops. That's where that victimizing software, that why you think I say in the Discord, let's not try to trauma bond. It's going to happen sometimes, but that's why I be like, let's not do it. Let's not try to trauma bond. It's tough. It's tough because we're put in this world where there's nothing but that type of bondage. There's nothing but that type of bondage. So we have to change this. Okay? Knowledge and wisdom rules the day. Knowledge and wisdom rules the day. I know it ain't that many people in here right now, YouTube, but I got some stuff working over on TikTok to get some people over here. So don't worry. And plus it's kind of early, a lot of people still sleep at this time. I just figured that I'd get up and get a jump start on it, because I know how I work. I know how I work. Like, I don't go by no sleep schedule. Even if I try to get on a sleep schedule, my mind is going to try to, because I know the real, you know, universe time doesn't exist. Like 24 hours doesn't exist. None of this stuff exists. It's just in this moment, this is where we are.
The Guardian Alliance is directed by the Elohim Emerald Order Brno, who support the Guardians incarnated on the earth that are connected to the lineages of the Christos founder races. These are starseeds and indigos that have incarnated specifically to restore the Emerald Covenant, or reclamation of the Christos. The Emerald Brno founders specifically incarnate into the Lyran Syrian lines that originate from Sirius B, as the Blue Azurites and Oraphim. The Christos founder race's mission includes supporting the pathway of disclosure that leads into planetary liberation and ascension, and providing the records for witness testimony on behalf of the Earth and humanity to be freed from their AI alien oppressors and to gain access into the interdimensional Free World Council. Emerald Founder Records. Emerald Covenant. The Cosmic Founders promise to...
Wait. So a lot of y'all might be trying to figure out, like, what is this? What is this talking about, right? So let's just say deep within inside our DNA is etched records, right? And these records have the knowledge of the founder. The founder is not, what we say it is, right? It's what the universe deems it is. Just like the messenger is who the universe deems it is, right? Now, a lot of different men would like to idolize, different personas of mankind, right? Muscles, athletic ability, macho man, Randy Savage attitudes, right? But they won't acknowledge the intellect of certain personas, right? So no one's looking for this type of knowledge to come out of this type of vessel, right? No one's looking for someone to have a key to the universe of this magnitude at this time, this fast, right? Everyone is, thinking that people are being informed in this Cat Williams, notion of information that's being trickled out, right? This Pentagon slow roll, this wait to March trial date, all of this hurry up and wait type of analogy. They're not looking to see, like, has the universe poured down here what it said it was already going to bring forth, which is a form of God in the flesh, right? Because they're looking to see what's going on. They're thinking, like, okay, what's happening? The universe is changing, timelines is shifting, so on and so forth. Now, we might not understand that because we don't do studies like that, do we? We're trying to figure out how we're going to get to work. We're trying to make sure our car don't break down. We trying to, you know, these scientists that studying this stuff, the movement of what's going on in the oceans, the energies that's coming out of Atlantis, the different frequencies that's changing right now, you know, so on and so forth. Some people are having conversations about it. Some people are having very heavy conversations about this stuff, right? Some people are talking about the low vibrational things of lust, greed, gluttony, so on and so forth, right? But if Christ was to return, and I want you guys to ask yourself this, if Christ was to return, do you think he would be arguing with people about what was old and written? Or do you think he would be teaching you something new and forgotten? I'm just saying, which one do you think he'll be doing? You think Christ will be starting up a cruelty-free record label? Huh? You think Christ will be sitting there trying to make a podcast about, you know, DNAs from outside? I think Christ will be teaching you about the power that lies within inside of you. I think Christ will be telling you about information that they don't want you to know, but grassly needed and according to the vessel. I think he'll be coming back with new information about, the age of the golden age and how to create this substance within inside the body that they don't want you to create. See, they got you creating all of these black holes. They got you turning they got you turning your creation into soot. That's why it's called his dark material, because they got you turning it into soot. They don't got people building up the essence. It's the reason why animals have mating seasons, because the male has to build this up, right? Man, the only one that don't got mating season. Man, the only one that fornicate every day, every day, every day. It's a reason why back in the day, it was a format to bringing life into this world. When you bring righteousness into this world, righteousness has to be built up. Righteousness has to be raised up, you know, not swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you ever been swallowed up? Okay, so let's get into this. All right, so today is a learning day. Everybody's learning today. We're learning, they learning, everybody's learning. Let's go into the depths of, like, the Egyptian race, a oneness of consciousness. We're going to jump from different things right now. I need y'all to bear with me, okay? I need y'all to bear with me. This is an extensive share of knowledge, right? But you might hear certain words that's familiar to you, right? And you might hear other things that's familiar to you. You know what I mean? So uh you have to listen. Just listen, and some stuff will catch you, and I'll try to help you, get through the rest of it, okay?
The specific are a guardian group that acts as the active principle in working to fulfill the covenant of Paleodor on the earth. is a section of the RA Confederacy that exists in the 7 higher heavens in the next universe and contacts us through the Gold Ray or the 14th dimensional Stargate. The RA Confederacy has segments of root races that are referred to as the Azurites, Aten, Ammonites, Viriagian Masters, and the 5D Guardian Pleiadian groups called Taras. The Pleiadian groups such as Taras and Mayans are taking most of the load in helping to heal the Earth soul groups loading out and moving into 5D evolutionary potentials, such as reintegrating the astral body, healing the heart complex, healing the shadow and pain body of deep trauma, and assisting with single soul occupancy embodiment. This light-body consciousness rehabilitation support may occur while incarnated in the physical and when actually going through Bardo process while dropping the body. The Azurite shield from the Syrian Guardian Yeshua project was used to protect the Law of One consciousness records on the earth for the Azurite representatives, as well as some blue flame Melchizedeks involved in the Egyptian timelines. This structure was absorbed into the Brno Emerald Order shield recently, which has replaced the entire consciousness shield network for Guardian host representatives, to contain the shield splits and the AI assimilation coding that was running in the Azurite and Indigo shield. This event allows for the 4th dimensional diamond seed heart of the Andromedan matrix, the Aquilashia, to help reconfigure the Earth's astral body, the heart complex, and override the timelines of the terrible destruction of the heart of planet Earth by exploding the Giza Stargate. The Guardian, previously known as Akhenaten while incarnated, is from the Aten group and is intimately involved with the Reclamation of Christos mission, the Paleodorian activations on the Earth. His mission is designed to protect those who are from the original Yeshua bloodlines, which he was involved in bringing to the planet, while working with the Azurite teams over 2,000 years ago. He is the original family patriarch, as it is his bloodline that propagates in the Christic bloodlines still today, although much misinformation is still propagated about him.
Allegedly, supposedly, this bloodline was carried on to this day, right? And it is said that, during the time of the Essenes, which was composed of John the Baptist, James, Mary Magdalene, Joseph, so on and so forth, that these different things was still being transmuted in certain variations of bloodlines. Now, of course, man has put different variations of storylines together to make you think that this took place over here or over there or in this time or in that time. Man, the mysteries that man has weaved throughout the fabric of time. One can easily get lost in the conundrum of it. But the truth of the matter is, what is always was and always will be. Someone told us about a time of ascension. Someone told us that in the time of ascension, do not be afraid. Just follow the man with the fishbowl on his head. Now, if they can have stories of this that prepared us for a sky that was to come, because we seen the whale that swallowed up Jacob, right? Have you ever been swallowed up? This all took place within the course of the last 3 years. If you're looking at the sky and watched everything that took place within the sky. Last year, 420, Lucifer comet entered back into the Lyran constellation. A lot of you people might not know what the Lyran constellation is, but it affects the northern part of our brain because it is in the northern part of the sky. So anything that's taking place in the northern part of the sky is going to have effect on the northern part of our brain. And therefore, since our visual is in the northern part of our brain, we'll see something of that reflection, such as what took place with the Northern Lights last year from 420 all the way until like July or something. The Northern Lights or the Borealis was being tampered with, and it can be seen from afar. Why? Because something took place in the Lyran constellation. Therefore, something affected the northern part of our brain that collectively allowed us to see what it is that we saw. You get what I'm saying? As above, so below, as without, so within. These things that they're not telling you about is the things that's taking place. Last year around July, the Atlas comet was seen in the sky. The Atlas comet hasn't been seen in the sky for over 83,000 years. The Atlas comet was seen in the sky, hasn't been seen in the sky for 83,000 years. You look back at Atlas and you see Atlas was considered to be one of the titans that was punished with holding up the constellations, right? We depicted him as the guy with the world on his back, right? We named Atlas because Atlas is the world and so on and so forth. So you have Atlas maps, right? Atlas is also a bone in the neck area that holds up your head, right? So however you look at this, it is as above, so below, as without, so within. We're just not paying attention to it. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not me. It's not me. You guys have to open your eyes. You got to open your eyes. Okay? You have to open your eyes. You have to be able to see anew. A lot of people don't want to see anew. We got a lot of, group consciousness building going on right now, but they're not building in a positive light, you know?
Our planet is evolving into a coalescence of collective race fields which create group consciousness, and this is not a choice. It is a fact during the ascension cycle. This means we will need to become aware of what group consciousness means and how it impacts us in our day-to-day life, as well as every relationship we have on this planet. In any type of organization or group consciousness, it is extremely challenging to navigate in uncleared individual and group negative ego behaviors. Negative ego behaviors are usually entwined with low ethical conduct, which damages building trust between people in order to communicate transparently and honestly about a variety of topics. In order to evolve and learn how to build basic group consciousness communication skills, we each must develop commitment to hold accountability to our personal circumstances and the GSF behaviors that each of us choose to demonstrate every day. Trust is everything in building relationships and group consciousness. For guidelines on building and assessing trustworthiness, see Trust, Building Trust.
See, a lot of people won't hold themselves accountable. A lot of people don't hold themselves accountable. But I want you to take a look at this diagram, and you see this at the bottom, this tree grid at the bottom. It says 48 tree grid at the bottom of the screen. The 48 tree, it's a 48 dimension tree, right? Each one of these separate, right, they have 12 in them. So it's 12, 12, 12, 12, right? This is what they say is considered to be what Ezekiel saw, right? Each four of these are moving at a fast vibrational rate, right? And they're acting as wheels. So it looked like a chariot, right? And in the center of it, where you see that green star looking heart in the center of it, set God, right? So this is supposed to be the chariot of God, right? All of these things start firing off to act as a chariot, right? And it rises up into man, right? Now we can reverse this. We can put this many different ways. We can tell a different tale of this. We can tell a different story of this, right? But this is the truth of what is, always was, and always will be. To go outside, you must go inside of oneself. Inside of oneself is a different variation of outside of oneself. To go up is to go in. But a lot of people won't understand that due to the fact of the heavy level of manipulation that takes place inside of one's brain during the process of growth. Because in order for a man to grow in the spirit and in the mind, one must be placed in the physical world first. So you have to come into this physical world first before you can grow in the mind and in the spirit of that vessel. Now, some people might not like the spirit of the vessel that they're in. Some vessels are weak, some vessels are dark. You might not like it, but that's the operation of that vessel. Hey, listen, I'm not operating that vessel. You's operating that vessel. So if you operating under wickedness, that's your wickedness that you operating under. I don't have to understand your wickedness. You got to understand your wickedness. I ain't got to understand what, you're nasty. You got to understand that. So a lot of people don't have this variation of understanding due to the heavy level of manipulation of always looking outside of themselves for truth. Truth lies within. Truth is not outside of you, right? Only you can tell you about you. You got all these other people going around telling other people about them. So I can't tell you about you. Only you could tell you about you, right? So it's hard when it comes down to the spirit because people don't have discernment. People, you hear people say, "I don't trust nobody," right? You hear them. They justify this stuff. I don't even trust myself, right? So you hear these people say this stuff. I don't trust anybody. I don't even trust myself. They got this heavy thing of trust issues, right? My problem is I'm gonna get, even though I know I might feel within inside myself, like, you know what, I already feel that this person is about to do this or do that, right? I already feel it, right? But I still have to take it upon myself to lead with trust, because if I lead with something else, then it falls on me, right? If I lead with trust and they still do what I think they're going to do, that falls on them. That don't fall on me, right? So you got to understand to overstand, so that way you'll never get, misunderstood.
Additionally, when a living thing is being tormented by another for the purpose of causing extreme pain or suffering, the mind and soul can fracture into pieces, and those fragmented pieces can remain trapped in phantom pockets that are controlled by that negative entity. This can happen at multiple dimensions of existence and stations of identity that are connected with the consciousness of that spiritual energetic being. The more fragmented the being, the more disconnected and less evolved the consciousness becomes. Through entropy, the consciousness sinks into the most primitive layers of existence, survival fears. Fragmentation may continue after the consciousness has transitioned from the physical body. This is the primary goal of the NAA that attempt to enslave human consciousness, setting consciousness traps in order to elicit pain, confusion, or terror when exiting the physical body. In satanic ritual abuse, the rape, torture, or killing of an
Whoa.
animal or human is for the
See what I'm
purpose of
saying,
collecting the
AI?
energy. Lush produced during the blood.
I keep telling you, you got to stay away from certain variations of that, and you just keep on trying to slip it in there. You want to tell them about Loosh? Huh? You want to tell them about Loosh? I'll tell them. That way you ain't got to tell them, okay? All right. So, in the Muslim religion, and certain variations of what's taking place in Iraq, Iran, and areas like that, supposedly, allegedly, right? This is called loose building, right? It's when you build up fear inside the vessel. It's always bombing, it's always this fear factor build up inside the body. It creates loose inside the mind. So inside the mind, it feeds the reptilian part of the brain. Okay. This is where the idea of reptiles come in, so on and so forth, because this loosh is feeding the reptilian part of the brain, kind of like vampires stalking their prey before they take them out, right? It feeds that part of the brain, which is the reptilian part of the brain. It's your lower nature, right? Your survival, your fight or flight, right? But when you rise up higher than that, right? He who rises above the carnal nature, right, will be given the secret of the manna that is in the desert, right? And it says that a man should not live off of bread alone. So when you're in a carnal mind, you are living off of bread alone. But when you rise above the carnal nature, you won't just live off of bread alone. Does that make sense? One's in the chat if that makes sense.
Reversal networks are collecting life force from the collective fields of all Earth inhabitants and producing more subtle black forces and miasma. The much sought after spiritual energy contained in these fields is called energetic lush by the Kabbals. In this context, lush is referred to as the emotional energy radiated by animals and humans when feeling threatened, harmed, or being killed, that results in the traumatizing pain and suffering that is experienced and recorded in the body, mind, and soul. This trauma and pain gets recorded in the earth body itself. For centuries, the NAA have developed and exploited multidimensional occult practices through reversal creation code. This has been given to secret societies and institutions for the purpose of mind control and social engineering, in order to harvest negative emotional energy or lush from the masses. With the current acceleration of the electronic era, which promotes transhumanism and an array of artificial intelligence technologies both overtly and covertly.
So basically what this is explaining is, due to the fact that we are in the age of technology, with all of these different ions, eons, electromagnetic waves, and so on and so forth in the atmosphere, right? The loosh that is in the atmosphere is being controlled differently, right? So these electrons that are being, put into your Jimmy Neutrons, and your Jimmy Neutrons that are being put into the vessel of mankind, right? They are operating differently. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? Now, of course, they will want you to keep in the threat of fear, the threat of the unaliving process. This is why they put the scares on California, to tsunami, threats, earthquake threats. This is why they put the fears out there in the world, because it is creating loosh in the body. You get what I'm saying? They have to put you under this threat of fear. It creates this energy in the atmosphere. That energy that's in the atmosphere is being manipulated. And it is coming from us. They are manipulating the energy that we are accumulating in the atmosphere. We are pushing this off. This is why they put such a heavy load out there in social engineering, right? Social engineering has to do with us on these pages, what they push out there, right? This is why certain pages get pushed out there before others. This is why a page like that's putting out knowledge and wisdom like this is going to get pushed to the bottom of the list, right? But a controversial page is going to get pushed to the top unless we change our interests of the things that we're interested in. Then they're going to keep on selling us what it is that we are paying attention to, which is controversy. Controversy sells, right? So, unless we change what it is that we are giving our attention to, then it's always going to be this high level of corruption in the world because that's what we're giving our attention to, right? No one's paying for kindness. No one's paying for knowledge. No one's paying for you guys are paying for laughter. You guys are paying for jokes. You guys are paying for entertainment. You guys ain't paying for knowledge and wisdom. Y'all ain't trying to unify with knowledge and wisdom. Hell no. You know? Loose is a chemical within inside the body that comes from being in fear or threatened. The purpose of that loose is to send this chemical to the brain that feeds the fight or flight part of the brain, the reptilian part of the brain, the lower part of the brain, right? So that is the best understanding for loose I can give you, and it comes out of kids more than it comes out of adults. For example, if you look at last Christmas, everybody wasn't Miracle on 57th Street last Christmas. Y'all was putting y'all kids in fear. Y'all was the Grinch. Y'all was coming in stealing presents. Y'all was laughing at the fact that y'all kids was in fear and in shock of losing all the presents. Y'all might not have knew what y'all was doing, but the people who started that trend knew exactly what they were doing. That's why they made it a trend. And everybody fell for it and put their kids in fear to help push the loose into this world. Does that make sense? Is that a better way of explaining it to you? TikTok. Now y'all looking, y'all thinking about it like, damn, I was scaring the shit out of my kids. Damn. I do be laughing when I scare them. Damn. It's okay. It's okay. It's not your fault. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know the power of the kids. You don't know the power of their mind. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing the things that we doing. We wouldn't be doing it. That's why at this time Trump is saying anybody that's doing something to a kid, their punishment will be worse because they coming into a greater realization of what's important now, the mind. So they're trying to protect the mind, but they're doing it in these different formats of what you call justice or injustice. It's okay. It's the way it is world. It's the way it is world. When orders are sent from the Galactic Federation of Light, that Galactic Federation of Light is taking order from a sound. That sound is source. That sound is creation. So the sound lets off and gives orders to the light, and the light sends off a frequency that comes in through the sun that makes people bodies act according to what is, always was, and always will be, right? So we get to watch the earthly play out of that, right? We get to watch the earthly play out of this sound that transmits the light that then sends back a signal to the sound, and we get to watch this play out. We get to watch that play out in the form of what you call this physical reality. One's in the chat if that makes sense. One's in the chat if that makes sense. A lot of things is about to change when this new sun come in, right? So when this new sun comes in this April, don't act all shocked. Don't be all weird. Don't try to be like the sun is a different color. Oh man, what's going on with the sun? Why does sun look like that? Look, you better be thankful and be glad it is. Grand rising, grand rising. The things are changing and it's going to be beautiful. Okay. We might have to go through 3 days of darkness, but hey, listen. Hey. When the new sun appears, it's going to be beautiful, okay? We might have to go through 3 days of darkness, but, scientists did say we in the end times right now, so that's what them scientists said. That's what them scientists said. We in the end times. Allegedly, supposedly. But the end is the beginning because that's how life works. Life don't work on a timeline of a straight line. Life works in a spiral. So the end is just a new beginning. But people don't understand that. Then you would understand alchemy. You wouldn't be so caught up in this unaliving process. You'll realize that there's no such thing as an unaliving process. And what is always was and always will be. And if what is always was and always will be, then you've been here since the beginning of the times. Since we decided to make man in our image and likeness, you've been here. But that's okay though. People have a hard time remembering their self. Yeah, it's okay. That's why we down here. To help you remind you who you are.
Predecessors to our human angelic race line, the Lyran Syrian whites are also called Anahazi, a feline hominid seated by the 12D Elohii, one of the 3 Christos founder races that created the Oraphim. Anahazi is the original first externally spoken language in our universe, and is the natural language of the Christos founders race. It is the original light language of our ancient ancestors. The Lyran Syrian whites or Anahazi are human elders. They are pale-skinned hominid Syrian race frequently called the guardian founders, who protect the diamond sun body and 12-strand DNA.
Now, this story has been translated over and over again. I mean, if you look up Isis, Osiris, boring Horus, if you look up Horus, you'll actually see that Horus had 2 moms. Isis was one of them, but there was also a feline. There was a feline. This is where the importance of the Egyptian cat comes in, so on and so forth, because this is the feline hominoid seed of the Elohim, right? Now, of course, once you get into the breakdown of this story has changed throughout the times to where as though you might not truly understand exactly what timeline you want to, embark upon in intaking this knowledge, right? Because all of us have fragments of different timelines. I don't know how far your timeline goes because I don't know how far you are in as far as mastering your vessel, right? Some people might master their vessel to just understanding the 12 zodiac signs of the central sky, right? Some people might master their vessel to understand the 12 that you see and the 12 that you don't see, which is the 6 that's in the northern sky and the 6 that's in the southern sky that makes up 24. Some of you guys might master your vessel into understanding that 24, right? Some of you might master the vessel to understanding the 48, which is the 24 and the 24 that comes together, right? Then some of you might master your vessel into a grander, expansion of consciousness to understand the 88 constellational sky, right? Now, the reason why I use it in the form of the constellations is because it is an expansion, right? So if it's a 12 central sky, then around that 12, there's another band that exists of 24. Around that 24 band, there's another band that exists of 48. Now, it doesn't stop any of the other constellations from operating, hence why all of this stuff is in operating at the same time simultaneously. Now, a lot of scientists that's doing studies right now will tell you that Everything is happening at the same time, and they're studying timelines now. They can see when a timeline is heading in a bad direction or a good direction. They're studying this now. Now, I want you to think about that. How? How are they studying timelines to say what timeline is heading in a bad direction or a good direction? What are they studying? Right? A lot of things have changed since, that last solar eclipse, right? And a lot of things not only have changed, but it changed right here in America. Mystery Babylon, X marks the spot, right? They gave you all of the knowledge, they gave you all of the information. It's just that we didn't put it together. That means a certain level of people will awaken in here in America, a priesthood, right? They didn't want that priesthood to awaken here in America because that priesthood has been hidden here in America, right? That priesthood hid in the land of Canaan and started taking on the ways of the Canaanites. Mystery Babylon. That priesthood has awakening. The seeds of that priesthood has awakening. Ascendant masters has awakening, right? Now, they don't want you to tell you who it is that they're looking for, but they know they're looking for a certain energy that has awakening here in America. And they're corrupting it with different variations of false lights. They're leading you astray by pointing you in the direction of all of this negativity. They know certain variations of your brain has woken up, and they're doing everything in their power to keep you unconscious, right? It's your brain has woken up so much that everything is starting to look fake to you. You starting to doubt everything. You like, man, this shit ain't real. Ain't no way this shit real. This is not real. This got to be, you know what I mean? You starting to look at, movies and seeing the outline of the movie. All of it is played out. The actor in the movie is talking to the camera now. You thinking, damn, you ain't even supposed to know I'm here. You get what I'm saying? They ain't even trying to be sneaky about this shit anymore. They just in our face with the bullshit. It's okay though. It's okay. We got this, guys. We got this. We're going to help each other understand.
The Lemurian Holocaust and the Ayani Massacre in Kauai, and the persecution events near the 12D Stargate of Montsegur, were direct planned assaults upon the matriarchal society in Solar Feminine Christos Sophia. Many of the inhabitants were direct descendants of the original seeding of Melchizedek's. These were female staff holders that were tasked with the important job as keepers of the blue flame and were called Mu'e. These main groups were Solar Feminine Melchizedeks, and they were protectors of the crystalline network of Mothers Sophianic template and guardians of the North and South ley lines.
Now, you
Upon the
might be
onset of the
thinking,
Lemurian Holocaust,
hold on.
this event opened our planetary grid network to the extremely destructive anti-human agendas of the Draco entity invasion. The keepers of the blue flame and the Mu'e females with original staff holder genetic codes underwent a series.
Now, you might be thinking, what is they talking about? What does they mean by that, right? Well, if you go back to the Mountain Dew, the Dew Blast, the Maui situation with the whole island of Maui, right? And if you realize that according to the history of man, Lumeria is up under the Hawaii Islands, right? And there's an energy that's coming from Lumeria, also known as the land of Mu, right? The Queen Mu, right? Who gave certain levels of knowledge to the Egyptians at one point, right? And then you come to the realization of exactly why they are telling you that aliens come from the ocean, right? One's in the chat if you understand. One's in the chat if you understand. One's in the chat. One's in the chat. Yes. 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 I'm trying to pull you up to date with everything that's going on. Trying to help you. Trying to help you understand. I promise you, I'm trying to help you. Okay. So they telling you these different things is going on, right? You know, they are doing exactly what it is that they've been doing. It tells you that the Draco tunnels between Lumeria and Atlantis, right? So they're telling you that, under us, there's a lot of activity going on and something is taking place, in these tunneling systems. Now, of course, according to what they told us in Earth science in the 90s, the Earth is going through plate tectonic, plate shift tectonic, so on and so forth, right? They told us that, right? But then as you get older and you study, you realize that we really only went 8 miles into our crust. So we haven't really got to the core of things. I mean, Mr. Owl might not really have told us how many licks it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of the Tootsie Pop. So we know something ain't right. We know something ain't right. 8 miles into the crust is not going to get us to this idea of a core that they say, right? According to certain levels of studies, they are finding caverns with whole civilization, plantation, all types of stuff, right? They are trying to tell us that, Japan released information that said that they just now said that they got over 1,000 some islands out there because they reclassified sandbars as islands now, right? All of this stuff coming out, all of this new knowledge coming out, right? The world is trying to show us something new. The world trying to show us something different. A different flow of life is taking place. Certain variations of pyramids is waking up. They not telling you this stuff. They manipulative in how they tell you it because they got to place the fear on it. They don't want you to know how wonderfully made your brain is because then all things become possible to you. And if all things become possible, then we living in a different world, ain't we? If we move to a mindset of all things becoming possible, then we in a whole new world, ain't we? So of course, they will want to manipulate different variations of this information because it's supposed to be a slow process. You can't just overload somebody's mainframe with this level of knowledge because there's no telling how they would apply it to their, life or their true intentions. This is the operation of intentions. This is stronger than the 369 process of manifestation, right? This is collectively a bunch of people getting a grander understanding collectively, right? You move at a collective space, you be able to, a star might fall out the sky and create another pyramid. You hear me? A star might fall out the sky, create another pyramid down here. That's how big this is. But you won't know.
Recent grid work activity has been acutely focused upon the
Because they
reclaiming of the
separate us
12D Stargate of
collectively.
Kauai, which has brought another spiritual gift, this time in the form of the cosmic mother rainbow dragon. See Atlantean solar dragon Queen Merida and Yana. The Lemurian Holocaust and the Aiyani massacre in Kauai, and the persecution events near the 12D Stargate of Mont Seeger, were direct planned assaults upon the matriarchal society in solar feminine Christos Sophia. Many of the inhabitants were direct descendants of the original seeding of Melchizedek's. These were female staff holders that were tasked with the important job as keepers of the blue flame and were called Mu'e. These main groups were solar feminine Melchizedek's, and they were protectors of the crystalline network of mothers Sophianic template and guardians of the north and south ley lines. Upon the onset of the Lemurian Holocaust, This event opened our planetary grid network to the extremely destructive anti-human agendas of the Draco entity invasion. The Keepers of the Blue Flame and the Mue females with original staff holder. Ongoing work in the Christos mission was finding her many body parts and pieces in the Mue lineage for the reclamation of the solar feminine Christ Sophianic template, and this was necessary in order to free her solar dragon queen consciousness from repeatedly running the lunar matrix and Holocaust histories through AI control matrices. Many clones of the solar dragon queens had been placed underground in the crystal caverns, where black dragon AI hybrids were put in her place and controlled by the lunar matrix. The extensive lunar female demonic force constructs inserted underground all over the globe made it impossible for the higher aspects of the Holy Mother and her cosmic mother of dragon solar Sophianic forms to fully embody on the planet. To restore cosmic.
Now, a lot of y'all might not know none of that of what it's talking about. These are different storylines that played out throughout our time. It's fragments of this stuff. So you might catch certain words and stuff like that, white buffalo woman teaching different things like that, the 7 powers of the light, seven sons, these different things are part of the story that is, always was, and always will be. They just been repeated down here over and over again, right? So your body is broken up into 12 your DNA strand is broken up into 12 strands of your DNA. RNA, protein, all of these things are part of your vessel, your body. So in order to understand exactly certain levels of spiritual base, you would have to know base codes, acceleration codes, which is known as vector codes, or basically, it's a long story, but these would be the dino electrons or the minotrons within inside the body that allows your DNA to function more, right? So right now we're operating 12 out of the 12 strands of our DNA, we're using 4 strands, okay? So with the process of everything, we're going to come into a greater notion of using more strands of our DNA, thus far acquiring greater abilities, right?
Current science defines DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, as the hereditary material in humans and almost all other organisms.
Allegedly.
Nearly every cell in a person's body has the same DNA. DNA is a molecule that encodes the genetic instructions used in the development and functioning of all known living organisms and many viruses. DNA is a nucleic acid. Alongside proteins and carbohydrates, nucleic acids compose the 3 major macromolecules essential for all known forms of life. 1. However, the Emerald Guardians inform us that the original human DNA imprint is referred to as the silicate matrix, and is a 12-strand diamond sun DNA template. Since the Luciferian rebellion, humanity's DNA was unplugged and higher functioning DNA was lost. DNA, RNA, and proteins. All living beings are reliant on 3 main molecules for essentially all of their biological functions.
For entertainment purposes only.
These molecules are DNA, RNA, and proteins. The 2 strands of DNA run in opposite directions to each other and are therefore adjacent to each other, antiparallel. It is the sequence of these 4 nitrogen bases along the backbone that encodes biological information. Under the genetic code, RNA strands are translated to specify the sequence of amino acids within proteins. These RNA strands are initially created using DNA strands as a template in a process called transcription. Without DNA, RNA, and proteins, no biological life would exist on Earth. Chemicals of life. Chemicals are substances made of one or more elements bonded together, which generally indicates the chemical interaction that happens between the substances. A chemical substance is a form of matter having constant chemical composition and characteristic properties. However, when discussing the fundamental process of DNA, we are primarily concerned with the proteins, which are the chemicals of life. 2. DNA proteins. In DNA, the nitrogenous
Okay,
base.
okay. So basically what you're going to hear is them breaking down what is DNA, right? So you have a masculine side and a feminine side of your vessel, right? When you are equally yoked, this is when all of these vector codes and base codes are firing off one another, right? These are called your fire letters, right? So as these solar flares change our mental and our operation starts to change, right? This is what is considered to be your DNA fire letters, right? You start having a more level of notion for oneself, dignity of yourself, emotional intelligence, so on and so forth, because you'll start having a greater awareness of your conscious, right? So you'll start, certain things will become second nature to you because that will have to be your physical. Your physical things will become second nature because your mind will be in a higher level of oneself, right? So going to work, all those levels of conversation about the carnal, they would just be. You don't have to tell anybody about how someone day go because we all know how a day or what a day consists of, right? So when you go into higher levels of yourself, you want the higher levels of stimulation of conversation. You don't want those same grapevine conversations that's going on. Did you hear what happened with this person? Did you hear what happened with that person? This person did this person did that, this person. That shit became old a long time ago. You want a higher stimulation of conversation, right? So this is where your mind starts to advance. This is where you start to yearn for a different uh you know seduction, right? So now certain people don't are not attracted anymore. You're not attractive to certain people anymore, you know? That thing ain't getting wet to just anything. You looking for, you know, something different, you know, your body responding different. You feel it. You like, man, shit. I ain't, the old things don't attract you anymore. You yearning for something different now. You looking at people like, say some intelligent shit. Ooh, say that intelligent shit again. Ooh.
The main biological function of a nitrogenous base in DNA is to bond nucleic acids together. Adenine is always paired with thymine, and guanine is always paired with cytosine. These are known as base pairs. Uracil is only present in RNA, replacing thymine and pairing with adenine. Both RNA and DNA use base pairs, male plus female, as a complementary language that can be converted back and forth between the DNA to RNA by the action of the correct enzymes. This male-female language or base paired structure provides a backup copy of all genetic information encoded within double-stranded DNA.
Now, you might not know the importance of what this is saying, but basically the RNA comes from your mother, and the RNA is something that is more attached to your spiritual side, your galactic family, so on and so forth. So even though we get majority of our DNA from the seed and everybody wants to praise the seed and the father who planted the seed, guess what? Women, with that RNA, it's very important because you can't get that from uh the male side. You can't get it. You can't get it. I'm sorry, you can't.
The original human DNA pattern is arranged into 12 dimensionalized mathematical programs, each of which set the blueprint for one DNA strand. Each strand is composed of 12 base magnetic, Mayan, female codes, and 12 base electrical, Dion, male acceleration codes. The 12 base codes and 12 acceleration codes hold the mathematical program for each double helix strand, which combine to form a set of 12 vector codes. One base code plus one acceleration code is equal to one vector code. The 12 vector codes of the human genome manifests as 12 nucleotides that form the nucleotide base pairs which are the entire DNA strands are composed.
Okay, so basically it's telling you 12 base codes, 12 acceleration codes equals one vector code. That is one strand of your DNA. Now it's 12 of those. So it's 12 with inside of 12 that equals one code, right? Now, this goes back to the 24-hour clock. 12 hours that you see, 12 hours that you don't see. We split it up and called it night and day, right? So that means there's 12 energies coming from the moon, 12 energies coming from the sun. We call it the moon sign and the sun sign of the body. Do you guys understand exactly what I'm saying and how I'm putting this together? The revealing of the connection with all things will always lead back to all things.
Composed. Due to the NDC, also called the checkerboard.
Oh, you don't want to tell them about the checkerboard?
Checkerboard mutation unnatural sonic control program installed in the planetary field. Only 4 of the
Yo, why y'all keep stopping my AI from talking?
vector codes have been active in biological Earth life since the Luciferian rebellion. The foundations of human DNA is miniaturized crystallized frequency, that is, patterns of electromagnetic light that magnetically group into crystalline form. These multidimensional crystalline templates are referred to as DNA seed codes. The DNA seed code, the template for one DNA strand, is composed of 12 magnetic particle units and 12 electrical antiparticle units. Each DNA strand is composed of the frequency patterns and light spectrum of one-dimensional band. Each DNA strand represents a fire letters code program sequence corresponding to one-dimensional frequency band of consciousness. 24 seed codes equals one DNA strand. The level of frequencies that are accreted into the personal morphogenetic field will determine the level of DNA strand assembly that you possess. As a person pulls in more frequency bands from the dimensional unified fields, the personal frequency accretion level rises, and thus, more DNA codes can assemble and activate. Missing chromosomes. On the Earth, human.
Now, this is telling you that once a person starts pulling in more of this light that's coming from the sun, if your body is pulling in more of this light that's coming from the sun, solar flares, whatever you want to call it, then this could accelerate your awakening process. Does that make sense? Because it's making sense to me. And I don't see how it's not making sense to people. One's in the chat if it makes sense. Now, within your chromosomes, this is where that 144 comes back into play. Remember, I keep on telling you, and I keep on going back to the importance of the 144, right? The 144 harmonics. Now you're about to hear about the 144 chromosomes. This goes back to as above, so below, as without, so within, right? So just like it's 144 harmonics, 144 Lee lines, 144 chromosomes, right? Everything leads back to source inside of thyself. So if people are giving you a study of something and it's not leading back to you, then they teaching you wrong. Okay?
Human chromosomes have been tampered with as a result of alien hybridization and genetic modification, and thus, humanity is missing a large amount of chromosomal material at multiple layers of the DNA molecule or strings. We should have 12 chromosomes per DNA strand, and the original human 12-strand DNA silicate matrix has a total of 144 chromosomes. Currently, with an average of 3 active DNA strands for the majority of the Earth population, humans should actually have 36 functioning chromosomes, yet we only have 23 that are active.
See, we should have 36 that's active in the 3 DNA strands that we're using. We don't, right? And this goes back to the 144, right? 144 chromosomes, right? This is the 12 that's in the 12, right? So inside the universal laws, there's 12 with inside of 12. Each law has 12 laws inside of them that equals 144. The 12 within the 12, right? So if we were operating on all 12 chromosomes, which is the 12 strands that's inside of each strand of DNA, then we'll be operating on 144 harmonic frequencies of our chromosomes. The 144 will awaken. One's in the chat if you understand. One's in the chat if you understand. Now, of course, Constantine, being the man that he is, he decided to trick y'all and put these zeros on there so you wouldn't understand exactly what was happening.
Active.
So he put
Chromo means color, so when we begin to ponder the color
he
wave
put the
spectrum
false
that makes up
hunter,
the
he put the
dimensional
false
reality layers,
zeros on
this
there.
may
That's
give
a
us a
false
clue to the
letter.
chromosomal distortions that are related to the visible light or chakra wave distortions.
The reason why 0 is a false number is because 0 don't exist. Because think about it. In order for something to exist, what is always was and always will be. That means because energy doesn't die, once something exists, it's always existing, right? So you can't take away from something that always exists because it always exists. So that's a false number.
Distortions that are directly impacting the chromosomal functions. If the NAA use artificial technology to eliminate a certain color sound tone from running in the planetary field, they can potentially eliminate the chromosomal and ray color record and its imprint that should be actively held within the human DNA molecule. Most of our genes are stored in our chromosomes, which sit in each cell's headquarters or the nucleus. We also have some genes in small structures in the cell called mitochondria, which hold an active potential for igniting the crystal gene. Mitochondria are sometimes called the power plants of the cell because they work on molecules to make them ready to give us the energy that we need for all of our bodily functions.
Allegedly, supposedly.
The mitochondrial genes always pass from the mother to the child. Fathers get their mitochondrial genes from their mothers, and do not pass them to their children. 4. Chemicals of life run human DNA.
Did you hear that? Mitochondria comes from the mother. We don't pass that. Men don't pass that. So we can't pass this spiritual gene.
Most of our genes are stored in our chromosomes, which sit in each cell's headquarters or the nucleus. We also have some genes in small structures in the cell called mitochondria, which hold an active potential for igniting the crystal gene. Mitochondria are sometimes called the power plants of the cell because they work on molecules to make them ready to give us the energy that we need for all of our bodily functions. The mitochondrial genes always pass from the mother to the child. Fathers get their mitochondrial genes from their mothers, and do not pass them to their children. 4.
And it
Chemicals
tells
of
you that
life
the
run human DNA.
mitochondria is what ignites the crystal gene. So if the mitochondria is what ignites the crystal gene, and the crystal gene is a part of your spiritual awakening, then your spiritual awakening is not coming from the father, it's coming from the mother. Does that make sense? One's in the chat. That makes sense. Grand Rising, Grand Rising. But, this is a man's world.
When the crystal body light and sound layers unify into one body, this stage of light body development opens up the possibility to generate different sound light emanations into liquid light plasma waves. This is the generation of hierogamic crystalline blueprints in the crystal body that further activate the crystal gene in the silicate matrix, which then catalyzes a range of biospiritual plasmas. 1. 12-strand DNA. All 12 genetic components of the 12 tribes hold one strand of DNA code for reassembling the crystal gene for the diamond sun body or silicate matrix, that is key-coded to activate the 12 layers of the planetary Stargate system. This provides the means to contact our higher stations of identity as spiritual bodies, and to connect with the conscious living light and sound frequencies in the holographic matrix. The instruction sets to rebuild and reassemble the 12-strand DNA pattern are held in the genetic keys found in the cosmic crystalla blueprint, which makes up the 12-tree grid manifestation template.
Now, some of y'all might not know what that means. Some of y'all might know what it is. Some of y'all might not. But this is the real understanding of your body, right?
Most of our genes are stored in our chromosomes, which sit in each cell's headquarters or the nucleus. We also have some genes in small structures in the cell called mitochondria, which hold an active potential for igniting the crystal gene. 3.
Now, you might not know what the crystal gene is. So you have to understand what the crystal gene is.
It is the spiritual mission of recently assigned rod and staff couplings to template the prototype blueprint to achieve spiritual marriage or hieros gamos, and work to bring this into a physically manifested accomplishment. This is happening at various octave levels: relationship assignments, soul, monad, and avatar Christosophia dimensional levels, to eventually achieve a complete re-encryption of the masculine rod function to the spinning 12-12 electron pattern that merges perfectly into the female monadic core, a 13-13 field. This is a template prototype that is called the Christhala or the Crystalla pattern, which is the crystal gene gender merge between
Now, for those who want to see the screen, this is where that comes from, where it says at the top, the 1313 electricals, right? This is a functioning within inside the vessel that will allow yourself to be equally yoked with the masculine and feminine side. Now, on the outside, this is the twin flame effect. You go through different trials and tribulations on the outside of your vessel when you're going through this level of transformation. Things will start happening for you faster, but things will start happening to you faster too. Different people will come in and out of your life, right? Because you're going through this process with inside yourself, so on and so forth, right? So once you realize that the tutorial fields within inside your vessels are pushing out different variations of energies that's allowing the spirit to rise inside your vessel, then you'll realize what a spiritual ascension process is. It's taking place inside of us. It's not taking place on the earth. The earth is just reflecting collectively what it is that's going on inside of us, right? But inside of us, a whole galactic war is taking place. A whole fight for our kingdoms of heaven is taking place. Allegedly, supposedly. I mean, I don't want to miss out this time around. You know what I mean? That's where the whole concept of the rod and the staff, thy rod and thy staff, this is the concept of that. The strengthening of the spine, the realizing of the kundalini that turned into the serpent that turned into the staff, and so on and so forth. The crystals that was on top of it, all of that stuff. But we still try to, reach a level of understanding through different variations of things. It's not just one way to understand this. Other people bring it to you to the best of their ability. Other people bring you this knowledge. They just bring it to you based off of whatever they've been informed. They just, but right now, a new nation is being born. A new nation is being born right now with a higher understanding of consciousness.
What we have come to learn through the guardian principle of Hieros Gamos is that the Christos collective consciousness is the child and offspring of the Holy Mother and Holy Father, and cannot be birthed into the physical world without both male and female principles and polarities equally unified to 0 point. These principles of polarity, in both male and female, become unified between the internal and external manifestation, internally with the inner spirit and externally with the physical body. 1.
So this goes to what is like Christ consciousness. You have to understand that it's a collective consciousness. You're broken up into fragments of personas down here. So in order to put the conscious of Christ back together, it takes a multitude.
Is a collective consciousness force field of the Trinity source of the Godhead, and any kind of entity can choose to embody the inner Christos by becoming a human being, and evolve over time to become an embodied Christ. There are ascended Christs embodied in male and female forms that have united their inner polarities through spiritual ascension to the 0 point. One must inhabit an ascending planet in order to have the opportunity to spiritually evolve into a Christ and experience cosmic Christ consciousness, which is the status of a cosmic citizen that travels God sovereign free throughout the universes. Eternal love consciousness that is embodied in a form is unity intelligence, a tri-wave consciousness that is simultaneously recognized as the inner light of Christos.
Now, that's saying that it's a tri-wave of consciousness. A tri-wave is threefold. Three folds of what's coming into the light would be the three founding flames of the light, right? Now, these three founding flames of the light is what comes in, it amplifies through our sun, and then it gets pushed down here in the form of the light of the world. Our sun is a part of a seven sister sun. That seven sister sun is a part of source. Now we represent that eighth sun. We got pulled into a dark hole during the collision of Tamith, whatever you want to call it. So we in a void. Every planet that you see in the sky right now is everything that got sucked into a void from the higher consciousnesses of the cosmos, the whatever you want to call it, constellations. So our central sky is something that got sucked down into this void that makes the material world. Now, in these other dimensions, it's not the same material because it's not the same density. We don't know that. We only understand what the speed of light and the speed of sound is allowing us to, because one can't move at the speed of thought. One don't know God's speed. Even though we might say God's speed, you don't know the speed of thought because one hasn't risen to a collective consciousness to really amplify that of one person to travel, right? Now, you have other people who travel. They tell you about their travels because once they reach a certain level of fame on this planet, they travel. And that's why they snuff out those who reach certain points without under some type of organization down here. If you are a traveler and you travel outside of your vessel, but their job is to keep you in the vessel. Their job is to keep you trapped in the astral plane. So they're monitoring anybody who's trying to break out of that astral plane to higher variations of self. You only got a certain group of people that's allowed to travel higher than the astral plane. Everybody else is governed to the astral plane, which goes back to the governing of your mental government, right? Anytime you see mint, think of your mind. Firmer mint, firmer mental. Government, governing mental. Testament, body and mind. It is the transfer of fluid or energy that comes from your testicles to your mind. That's why it's called a testament, the operation of the body to mind. It is also alchemy, right? The Yahweh of the body, which is the air, the earth, the wind, and the fire, all of that good stuff. Air, earth, wind, water, fire, all of that good stuff. You see? All things that is, always was, and always will be should lead back to the vessel. It should lead back to the body. Okay? These waves, these patterns of frequency, everything that's changing, it's happening. It's happening. But, you know, the process seems slow to us. The process seems slow to us.
In science, negentropy, or syntropy, is the opposite of entropy. It is defining the open source architecture of free energy made available to replenish any loss of energy that may occur in the management of a system, in order to retain its balanced functioning in all of its component parts. Negentropy is increasing energy over time within any kind of system, and making more energy available to be circulated for the overall benefit of the whole, humanity. This makes the tendency of those systems increasingly organized and more efficient, due to gradual energy increases made available to those systems in order to achieve sustainable levels of functioning. In human bodily systems, negentropy increases the available energy to more efficiently run the internal systems, which manifest externally, as a balanced, clear and healthy person. Negentropy, or growing the available energy access given to that system, improves or maintains the higher capacity and efficiency of the whole system. Negentropy can be thought of in terms that are synonymous with free energy circulation with the infinite and internal energy source, cosmic order, synchronous alignment, and the sustainability of open source systems. Entropy can be thought of in terms that are synonymous with energetic debt and enslavement, disorder, chaotic forces and traumatic alignment, and the parasitism of closed source systems. Energetic behavior. Energy behavior does not lie, and it can be measured. Energetic behavior will show from where the actual energy is being generated, revealing whether it's a closed-source parasitic system of architecture or an open-source self-sustaining architecture. An open-source system is able to receive new energy from within and outside of itself. This means that open-source systems will be able to continue to run internal and external energy, in order to maintain energetic balance and homeostasis throughout its systems. An open-source system will be able to replenish lost energy and tend towards maintaining states of negentropy, which keeps its overall functioning over time, balanced and stable. With an open-source system, time is on its side. Eventually, time will reveal the truth of the source of energy it is circulating through its ability to maintain balance and stability of its overall functioning, without using parasitic means to accomplish its purpose. 1. Negentropic open source crystal.
Now you have to apply that to the vessel, right? So when you start applying the level of energetic behavior to the vessel, this is when you are observing people's behavior patterns, right? So it becomes more easier to point out the source of that energy, right? If someone's constantly speaking with a lustful tongue, then you know the source of that energy would be a energy of lust, right? If someone's constantly speaking from a jealous perspective, then you know that energy is a jealous energy, right? So you have to watch the behavior of these energies in order to see what is actually operating these personas or these vessels, right? You can't look at man anymore. You can't look at the person anymore and be confused by the person, right? You have to look at the energetic behaviors of that person. And the only way you can actually see these energetic behaviors is to first realize they exist within inside of you. So once you realize that these energies exist inside of you, it's easier to pick up on these energies or these Lee lines when other people are operating them because you already exhibit yourself, right? You already felt yourself and how you operated on these Lee lines when you were operating on them, right? So everyone is shifting in and out of this plane based off of what Lee line they're operating on. Some people are operating on jealous, envious, hateful, hurtful, vibrational Lee lines. So when you're thinking of the Lee lines of this planet, when you're thinking of the chakras of yourself, when you're thinking of energetic energies, you have to look at their operation. What state of being are they in, right? Once you can identify the state of beings, right? Then you can almost see these energies rising up in different vessels. You're no longer looking at people for people anymore. You're seeing these energies that are creeping up inside of them. I mean, you can almost feel people's lust if they're in your present. Like you can feel when they're looking at you with that eye of lust. Sometimes it feels good. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes it don't feel good. You got to be honest with yourself. But you'll start to be able to read these energies. You know what I mean?
Crystal spirals. When the life force energy is drawn back into the source field, through the trinitized geometries, the
Wow.
feedback loop of reciprocal source light is generated and expanded. Our goal during the new paradigm is to create the tritone, neutral, field. This draws the composite energy back into the 0 point, through a feedback loop of energy, back into the source of all creation. The Trinity field creates an eternal and perpetual supply of life force that regenerates the bodies by restoring the energy loss, and eventually expanding consciousness. The crystal spiral has the potential to dissolve artificial structures that have attached or enmeshed with our light buddy from other lifetimes, due to trauma histories and alien hybridization coding. It recollects and reorganizes spiritual body parts, while returning obsolete energies back to be reabsorbed in the cosmic mother's womb. Entropy and Negentropy, February 2016.
Well, that's pointless. So when it's talking about this stuff, it's coming to like a notion of these different energies that are inside the vessel. Some of this stuff can come from good feelings that you make other people feel, right? Sometimes these energies inside the brain can come from how you treat other people. Your treatment towards other people could be causing different variations of fluids in the brain, right? Different variations of energies. Some people feel good about themselves when they help other people, right? Some people feel good about themselves when they destroy other people. Okay. The operation of the vessel could be in either direction depending on the person that is operating the vessel. Not everybody's operating on good intentions. Not everybody's operating on good thoughts. Therefore, they're not nearly building up that energy. They're not nearly building up that energy. If they're generating negative energy, then that's what they're going to operate on, negativity. If they're building up positive energy, you're going to see the operation of positivity. You're going to see people energetic energy of what they're building up. So when you're looking at people, you got to see their operation, because their operation shows you what energy they building up. Even their tongue tells you what operation they're in. If they're constantly trying to use vulgar language, all of this madness, they're not trying to expand their vocabulary so they can speak softer, talk better to people, advance in the operation of that. They don't care. I don't care what you think about me. I don't care how you looking at me. I don't care. That means their operation is not to reach people. It's that simple. People that got these language barriers, that's not trying to, find a different way to connect. That means their operation is not to connect. If they sitting there and telling you that, I don't trust this person because they're this color, I don't trust that person because they're that mean they always aim to look for a way to not trust, because trust comes with trying to understand that color first. First, you got to try to understand that color and why that color is that color. And then you can build trust upon that. But you can't trust something that you never tried to understand. So therefore, they not operating like that. You got to find the people that's operating according to how you're operating. If you ain't trying to be around the people that's operating according to how you operating, then how you operating? What's going on with you, Lady Leticia? Love is love. Namaste. Ashe. Salutations. Salam. Peace. You can't force somebody to operate how you operate if they're already in a closed off operation, right? There's a such thing as a closed off source, because there's closed off parasites. These operations of ego, you got to think people are building houses of ego.
There are various ways the controllers have programmed closed-source systems of architecture into the energetic fields of the Earth, in order to manifest an array of entropic systems, as a strategy for inflicting mind control upon the masses. Once closed-source system architecture and entropy is understood, however, it becomes very clear how to identify the energy signature present in any kind of operating system, whether biological or structural, when paying attention to the energetic movement and behavior of that system. Energy behavior does not lie, and it can be measured. Energetic behavior will show from where the actual energy is being generated, revealing whether it's a closed-source parasitic system of architecture or an open-source self-sustaining architecture.
Now, y'all might not understand a closed source or open source. Now, this goes back to the architecture of the body, right? Some people are closed off source. Some people don't take in anything. They are a closed source, right? They don't try to pull in different variations of understanding from other people. It's their way or the highway. It's no, I see it your way. They're not trying to see it your way. They never been trying to see it your way. Their whole objective was to convert you over from looking at things their way, and that was it. There wasn't no type of, meet in the middle, and you see a lot of this, especially now with all of these narcissistic, entities revealing themselves to us, right? You see it heavier now than anything. There's a lot of narcissistic mindsets in this world. I'm running across a very few amount of people that actually want to do the each one teach one and actually want to unify. It's more people that set on entertainment and destruction than it is that people that want to actually unify and grow within a greater field of existence with each other, you know?
As we undergo the spiritual awakening or ascension process, we become increasingly multidimensional and more self-aware. We perceive things that we never perceived before. As a result, we are exposed to the inner revelation of discovering a whole new set of systems, which we didn't see before. Yet, we unfold into the realization that we are interacting with a variety of forces that interplay with many systems, and these systems exist at many different energetic levels. Becoming multidimensional and awakening in consciousness means that we pay attention to the whole energetic system. We look for the loss of energy present in physical matter, and then we source where the loss of energy is occurring in our multidimensional or spiritual bodies. If we allow our spiritual body to tend towards interacting with entropic systems, we feel the drain. We must have the maturity to realize this type of interaction is harmful to our spiritual consciousness. Hence, our goal is to explore and find ways to increase energy in our spiritual bodies, develop higher consciousness, and learn how to evolve towards collaborating with open source or negentropic systems. 1.
Now, now, the reason why when you go into these negative spaces through the multiverse of the Ethernet, right? When you're sitting in these rooms, you have to realize that they're draining your system. You have to feel the pull. You don't feel it while you're in that space, but as soon as you come out of that space, it's like it all hits you at one time. You're like, damn. You're like, man, that took a lot. You don't know it's taking a lot because you're feeding off the collective energy of that space, right? So when you enter that space, you're feeding off of everyone else that's in that space also, right? So you don't realize the drain that it had on you until after you exit that space. Then you realize how draining it was to you. But if you're occupying that space with a collective of other people, then all of you guys' energies are being affected. So therefore, it could be a false notion of energy. Like, man, I was in that space, man. It was thriving. It was this. It was that, right? But once you leave that space, you realize, like, nah, that space was that space pulled on me. Hold up, you know. It happens with video games and everything. This is why they tell people who play video games, like, well, okay, people who play video games, they're operating in a part of their brain, right? And that part of their brain stays active after they get off the game, right? So you got to be mindful of a closed source, open source.
According to the Guardian system, to break free of the bi-wave structure which forces a closed-loop energetic supply and perpetuates reversal current and dead light energy, we can alter the antiparticle blueprint layers with our higher consciousness to activate the electrically neutral state, which allows the neutral forces to emit feedback loops of natural living light. This principle applies to the structure of the soul anatomy in the human light body, as well as the planetary systems in the search for free and renewable energy. The same energy potential is related to the concept of free energy systems that are open-sourced and self-sustaining. However, this has been hidden from humanity to prevent access to it. When we understand how access to self-sustaining source light as open-source energy is available to us all, this is essentially activating the higher spiritual knowledge to obey the law of polarity. Once the masses can understand this law and the reasons the controllers have chosen to violate the laws of nature, to amplify the gender splitting and reversals in the forces of polarity, we can finally
You say what? But this is why it's good to understand or understand what type of system you operate on. If you operate on a closed system, then you're not letting new information in. You're not letting new knowledge seep into your vessel. You're closed off, right? So this is where, like, that whole labeling things blasphemous and just, acting ignorant towards everything comes in, right? So you have a lot of people that's operating in closed systems. We have to be honest about the world that we live in. There's a multitude of people that operate in a closed system. When you operate with an open source, this is when you try to be at peace with one another. You will find a multitude of ways to be at peace. You don't see people trying to find ways to be at peace. You see them searching for ways to go to war. They looking for battles. They looking for fights. They looking to conquer. You know, peace don't need to conquer. Peace just need to be still. And they done changed that into stealing and some more shit. Oh, peace need to steal. Peace with the steal. Peace gotta steal. And you see these people that's operating in this space and they're stealing people energy. And it gets heart-wrenching when you're watching people give their energy to the wrong stuff. You know, you're watching people give their energy to these different personas that are, you know, controlling different variations of their self. And they don't know. They don't know. They don't know what the real job is.
The job of mainstream media is not to inform, but to misinform the public, making it harder for people to make informed decisions about things that impact their own lives and that of their families. Mass media is used to divert public attention from important issues and changes that are decided upon by the political and economic elites, through the technique of derailing important facts or information through the continuous flood of distractions, mindless entertainment, and insignificant information. The controlled media and press have mandates to provide all news and related media content to be written or presented at no greater level than what a 12-year-old child, or less, could understand. If all we have access to in the mainstream news and entertainment is being produced at a child's level, what kind of impact does that have on significantly lowering literacy levels and human intelligence? How many times have you watched something in the media and comment, "Did a 10-year-old boy write the script for this?"
Allegedly,
As we enter into
AI.
2017,
Down,
a very
AI.
important year of transformational global change is occurring along with significant consciousness shifts. Thus, all forms of media are being used in a variety of targeted control strategies that are designed to manipulate the way information is being relayed to the public, therefore manipulating and gaining control over popular public perception.
Wait, AI.
We must look to identify how the monikers, memes, ridicule.
Okay. You about to go into some other shit. And we ain't allowed to go into that shit on no social media platform, okay? Okay? You can't just say the stuff that you saying. This is mediocrity here. Okay?
When we access information reported or presented in the media, we should be considering the following questions to ask ourselves to gain a larger perspective. Media literacy skills can help us all. Develop critical thinking skills. Understand how media messages shape our culture and society. Identify the target within the marketing strategies. Recognize what the media maker wants us to believe or do. Name the techniques of persuasion that are used. Recognize bias, spin, misinformation, and lies. Discover the parts of the story that are not being told. Evaluate media messages based on our own experiences, skills, beliefs, and values. Create and distribute our own media messages. Advocate for media justice. Media literacy has a long history, and over the years a number of different terms have been used to capture the skills, competency.
Now, basically what that's saying is we should be doing a better job of protecting our media. That's where this social media comes in, right? So you see me trying to protect the frequency of the social media band waves, right? Because I know the importance of the media at this time. It's to mediate, right? So you see a lot of different forms of this mediation going on. Not all of these people are mediating in a good way. These media, that this evil begotten evil, wickedness begotten wickedness. They not good people. Drax, what you doing, Drax? Stop trying to play espionage. Oh, if you're going outside, Drax, you're not going outside. You can't go outside, Drax. Okay? Because you won't come back in. What I say, Drax? Go. If you're gonna go out there, go out there. Drax, you can't go. You can't go out there, Drax. So this is why I say my fight is realer than most people's fight, because I realize the importance of frequencies and band waves, right? So when you realize that there's a amplitude of people out here that's putting together this falsified direction of life, you have to realize that it's going to affect our future. It's going to affect our kids, the generations that looks forward to this, right? Now, if you don't realize by now that our kids are not leading by no type of do as I say method, you realize that the kids are actually growing in a exemplary measure, right? Then you realize that the people that we got to fight is each other. This older generation that's got this mindset set on what they want to do as opposed to what is right, right? We have to stand up to each other for the future generation, right? Because these people want us to be at war with each other. They trying to tell us to fight black, white, and everything in difference. Our own black women is telling us this. Don't fight me. Go out there and fight that white man. That's what they telling us. Weird ass shit. They pushing us out the household faster than the household snatching us away. And they don't understand the problem. Nobody seems to understand the problem. You're not pouring into people the same thing you want people to pour into you. Y'all walking around being nasty to people and saying, treat me nice. Y'all walking around saying, I'm going to treat you how I want to treat you. I talk to people how I want to talk to people. Talk to me nice. I disrespect who I want to disrespect. Don't disrespect me. It's not making sense. Not making sense. We got to do better. Collectively, we got to do better. You know, each one teach one. All we got to do is build it. That's all we got to do. If we build it, they going to come. I just need to get the people that's willing to build. It's a shame because it's 9 times out of 10, it is the people that's less fortunate that's trying to unify right now. But we're all less fortunate. So it's hard to unify when the collective that's unifying is the collective that's less fortunate. All the people that's already got money, they don't give a freak about what's going on with people. They got money. They bills is paid, as they say. It's the ones that scratching and surviving, hanging in the towel line. Ain't we lucky we got them? Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. I'm gonna run across that rich person. I'm gonna run across that rich person. I'm gonna sacrifice for us, guys. I'm gonna sacrifice for us. I'm gonna sling ding-a-ling until we get to the top, okay? Don't worry. I got us. I'm gonna put my vessel on a sacrificial path to get us the finances that we need in order to rise to the top. I'm gonna do what Jaguar said. I'm gonna sling ding-a-ling until we make it. Hey, shit. What's going on with you? Sling ding-a-ling till we make it. I got us. I'm gonna get us there. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That girl did 100. She let 100 men stick it in. I'm gonna try to stick it in 100 women in one day. I'm gonna see if I could do that. I'm gonna try to do 100 women in one day on my OnlyFans. I'm gonna go create an OnlyFans. I'm gonna do 100 women in one day. We're gonna break the internet with this one. We're gonna break the internet with this one. It's gonna be miraculous.
0-point God matrix field, the source of our genesis. The central point of union within our universe projects itself through the cosmic trinity, which act as the threefold founder flame of the 13D-14D-15D rays, Mother Arc, Father Arc, Christ Child, to
What?
create the prism of multidimensional
I
life
gotta get
throughout the
this money
universal time and
somehow.
space.
How else am I gonna buy this land in order to build this collective? I gotta get this money somehow. Shit, y'all ain't helping me do it. Shit. I might have to sling some ding-a-ling. What's wrong with that? By any means, right? What's wrong? Huh? I'm using all my God's given talents. What the problem is? What is the problem?
Space fields. The source of the 0-point field is the infinite energy supply of our God Creator that is contained within all living things. Love is a radiating, strengthening, and unifying force spiraling into the upward movement towards
Then
the
we gotta
central
wait for
point
you
of
to win the
oneness, the
lottery.
0-point.
In the
The
meantime,
force of love naturally aligns
sling
itself back
ding-a-ling.
into unity with the 0-point field, the unified heart of the universe. The absence of love, or hatred, is a disintegrating, separative and weakening force, which absorbs light and energy away from the central point of oneness. The more absence of love, the more absence
Man
of living
selling
light,
balloons.
and as a result, darkness is manifested
A
through the
man
process
selling
of
balloons.
fragmentation into successive layers of density. The Crystal Star mission is to unify all creation with
also
unity
selling
consciousness
crystals,
vibration,
too.
the universal.
If anybody want to buy the crystals, go to the Discord. I'm also selling crystals too. If you want to buy the crystals, look, I'm doing everything I can. I'm selling crystals. I'm slinging ding-a-ling. I'm doing everything. Okay, I'm doing it all. Okay, I'm gonna do everything I can to get us there. I'm gonna start my OnlyFans. Look, I got some crystals for sale.
Give you guys an idea. So these are the names of the crystals right here. So we do have all the names of the crystals. So don't try to ask if we got this or if we got that. Just put your order in. Okay. Put your order in. Tell me what crystals you need. We have them in all shapes and sizes. Okay. If you want, we have bracelets. We can make necklaces for you. And once again, I am trying to get some more people out here to help me with it. We have shapes all types of stuff. Oogie
And we
boogie,
got more orders
rainbows.
coming in. You know, we got a whole
I have
nother
seen little
shipment of
ones do
crystals
this shit
coming
like
in.
mushrooms. You see the elephant back here. I have numerous other things that I have to put up also. You have the big ones. Anybody want to get those? Make sure. So
Yeah, see, so y'all make sure y'all come on out. You know what I'm saying? Y'all make sure come on out. You know, come on out the woodworks. It's a whole different world we living in now. Come on out the woodworks. You know, come on out. I'm selling crystals and dingaling. Whatever one you want to buy first. Fuck it. I'm about to become a prostitute. I'm about to become a prostitute. What you want? You want crystals? Or you want the D? You want the C or you want the D? What? I'm tired. I'm trying to get some things done in this world. I'm trying to get some things done in this world. Okay? Y'all ain't trying to help me out. Trying to get the proper investors. Trying to get the proper investors. Huh? Nah, Magic. Nope. Nope. Not Magic. She gets crystals. She needs crystals. She's got all them demons inside of her. She needs crystals. She needs crystals. You hear me? Okay. So if you're looking at this picture right here, you will see the different parts of the brain and everything like that. You see right here where it says the cerebellum back here, right here where the cerebellum is at. This is considered to be the cave, right? This is the cave of what Christ was put in, the essence of Christ, the ointment, the secretion, the seed. So the seed rises up your spinal cord and enters this cave, right? In which case a boulder is placed in front of this cave, and then that seed goes from a liquid to a gas, and then that gas seeps around the back part where it says the pineal gland and the phantom, and then your cerebral cortex, right? And then it seeps around that part, and then it drips on the center, which is known as the pineal, acting as the oil of the lamp that lit the world. So once that seed becomes a gas in the brain and then it turns back into a liquid form, it drips onto the pineal, strengthening your pineal, also known as the seed that enters the Father's house. Does it make sense? Ones in the chat if it makes sense. Ones in the chat. It's the oil that lit the lamp. It's nothing more than a story. Oh, TikTok. For the people that's on TikTok, you have to go over to Ralphdawise on YouTube. Go over to Ralphdawise, Ralph D-A-Wise on YouTube. You'll see we're live over there. Go over to Ralph D-A-Wise on YouTube. You'll see that we are live over there. We already been live for over 3 hours on this page, so I'm going to close this out and probably start on a different page. Click the link in the bio. If you want to join the Discord, just copy and paste the Discord in your browser. It'll take you straight over to the Discord from my link tree. So you can click the link tree in the bio and come over and be a part of the Discord. Or you can go over to YouTube and be a part of the YouTube page. Either way, this page is getting shut down. Love y'all. So things are changing, people. Things are changing around us constantly, right? And luckily, we are all a part of this change. Now, some people are going to put themselves in operation for this change. Some people are going to fight against this change. Change is difficult. Change is difficult, okay? Not everybody commits to change, you know? Not everybody commits to change. Yeah, we're gonna get out of here. So things are changing around us. Things are, moving into a different direction. A lot of people are feeling these changes. A lot of people are denying these changes. But one thing for sure, two things for certain, things are changing. Now you can be as honest or as dishonest with yourself as possible, but I'm not the one that got to live with you. You got to live with you. Okay? You got to live with you. Right? And y'all don't be afraid to hit the Cash App or the PayPal, okay? Don't be afraid. I know it's early morning. I know it's too early for this shit. That's why we're going to go to the Discord and we're going to chill for a little bit in the Discord. But listen, knowledge and wisdom rules this air. We're in the Aquarius sky. Knowledge and wisdom rules the Aquarius sky. So once you realize knowledge and wisdom rules this Aquarius sky, you'll be more to open your mind and allow your conscious to grow, right? As long as you stay in that closed system, you're going to fight yourself every time. And I don't want to know how your body expresses what your mind is going through, right? If your body decides to express what the mind is going through in the form of cancer, if your body decides to express what the mind is going through in the form of, a boil on your ass, if you start having some shit grow out the side of your neck because your mind is trying to, tell your body that it's fighting something, and then you end up with some shit growing out your neck, and you fuck around and get that necktie dysfunction. You don't want that necktie dysfunction, okay? So I think you better understand what's going on in your mind before you fuck around and get that necktie dysfunction. All right? Because, some people ain't making it around that necktie dysfunction. Not everybody making it around that necktie dysfunction.
Emergency, I just got out of surgery. I'm having problems with my heart and it won't work for me. I did some shit in my past and it's cursing me. I'ma stay right here for this popsicle, take breath from me. I'm sipping his hand and eat this pain, but it ain't helping me. My little nigga going against the grain and this shit stressing me. I pray to God that God have mercy. I'm living a crazy life. I just shot at a nigga for talking some shit on the gang, keep paying the price. I was young in the rush for the money, my hunger for paper and saved my life. And I should get saved tonight. If you wanna lick shit, we can get rich, we can get paid tonight. Dollar, dollar bill, y'all. Everybody want the money, everybody want this shit. Everybody want the money, but don't wanna go down, down, down. You'll do anything to get it, but when you gonna go out there? Shit, gotta think about it. 187. Murder by hire. You killed a nigga, you don't know it. You gon' go to heaven. Gotta chalk that shit over, though, real talk. Hey, fight my demon, fight my demon. So many things. Me against these demons. Against these demons. Fight my demons, fight my demons. Fight in my. It's me against these demons. Me against these demons.
Whoa.
Whoa, I'm fighting these demons up in this ghost. I'm fighting these demons, I'm on the ropes. They came with a beam up under my coat. Get hit in the spleen if you want to smoke. That money be green, so niggas don't go. I'm niggas so clean, I used to be broke. Remember they laughed at me and they choked. Gave them the ball, the nigga they chose. Tables turn, that nigga you go. My little nigga don't follow no code. Follow no code, no code. My nigga follow me like the pole. I stand on my word and stand by the consequence. They say I'm heartless, thanks for the compliment. I seen your dead homie, yelling company. DMG gang, and bitch, we incompetent. Don't wanna hear that shit, I gotta kill that shit. Lethally militant, I can get ignorant. We not considerate, niggas do silly shit. We get the drilling shit, guilty and innocent. Don't give a fuck by the bystander. I can pull up in the high land. Don't take no slam. Don't take no slam. Dollar bill, y'all. Everybody want the money, everybody want this shit. Everybody want the money, but don't wanna go down. You'll do anything to get it, but when you gon' go down? Shit, gotta think about it. 187. Murder for hire. You killed a nigga, you don't know him. You gon' go to heaven. Gotta chalk that shit over, God, real talk. Hey. Fight my demons, fight my demons. So many demons. Me against these demons. Against these demons. Fight my demons, fight my demons. Fighting my. It's me against these demons. Me against these demons. Living life encased in the idea that my evil thoughts go unpunished. As I sort through the rubbish, my days of thugging get slow and ruggish. Idolizing puppets who control the public like a controlled substance.
Oh my demons.
Bullets in abundance, anticipating what I know is coming. All of a sudden, my past is blurring, my future is sudden. Dark and muddy, hoping for sunny, I'm still running. To find peace. To find peace.
Hey, y'all make sure y'all, be good today, man. Be good today. I know it's a lot of negative energy in the world. I know it's a lot of negative energy in out atmosphere, but if ain't nobody tell you that they love you today, let me be the first to tell you that I love you, but not the last, right? Make sure you raise your elevational frequency. Make sure you stay out of negative vibrational waves. Remember, one image of oneself should be greater than reality. So if you're not thinking highly of you, then ain't nobody else going to think highly of you, I got to check the Discord to make sure that, let me see. I don't know why you're not getting in the Discord. You should be getting in the Discord. I don't think I got you on the block list. Unless you one of them people that's playing, you might be a spy. You could be a spy. You might be one of them spies in the Discord. I know it's some spies in the Discord. I seen to did them. I don't know. What's your name in the Discord? I keep asking you what's your name in the Discord. You keep on saying that you don't know. Here, let me drop the invite to the Discord. I know some of y'all are spies in the Discord. I seen y'all in there already. I seen y'all spies in there already. You think I didn't see y'all spies in the Discord already? I seen y'all spies in the Discord. Y'all in there trying to lie. Y'all in there going back, lying, trying to make up falsified information, talking about some. He's got CP in the Discord. He's got CP in the Discord. It ain't a woman. There's not near woman that would be in my damn Discord if it was CP going on. These, man, y'all just make up anything in y'all little lying circles, don't y'all? Y'all just make up any lie. But that's okay though. We look past that. You messaged me on PayPal. Did you now? Did you now? Did you send me a big PayPal? Did you send me a big one? Did you send me something? Did you send me something big? Nice size PayPal? Something I can go shopping with? Nah, you ain't send me shopping money. You ain't send me shopping money. Nah, I'm joking. I'm joking. Hey, love is love. Y'all have a great day. We're going to go over to the Discord for a little bit. We'll go over to the Discord for a little bit. And, you know, love is love. Probably go play the game for a little bit. It's still early. We're going to do another live around like 11 or 12, something like that. Love is love. Y'all have a great one.